Hello, Will.
Hey man, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Living
And
the dream.
living the dream. Awesome. Coming on my show. I'm glad you think that's living the dream.
Thanks for having me.
It's going to be great. And hi to everyone listening. And I'm happy to see that Emma and Ben are already fighting over first comment, but Emma wins it this time.
I
So
saw that.
yeah, good job, Emma.
Hi Emma and Ben.
We're very proud of you. Um, and I'm very happy to have Will here. This has been a long time coming. I think we've been playing it for a few months.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I had the pleasure of meeting you a long time ago in Hamilton.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
at Emma's amazing festival. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And I was planning to come to Texas a couple times, but I never made it over there, sadly. Um, for
Yeah, and we're not doing that festival anymore,
I know
unfortunately. Just, you know, that's life.
that's life. Yeah,
Yeah.
the festivals can't
Yeah.
continue forever, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
they're a tremendous amount of work, and when you're doing it with a college, also there's a lot of ins and outs, and maybe again one day, who knows?
mhm.
The door's not closed, and so we're just on kind of like an indefinite hiatus, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, this last year is not the right time to have like a big in-person festival, anyways. So
Yeah. No, I mean we even had in the works kind of a more locally focused festival and competition for more your community college and high school and youth, more education focused, and actually Emma was helping me with that. She helped me with Lone Star, at almost every level. Um, and that one was going to be the Weatherford College Guitar Festival, and then the pandemic hit and pretty much shut down all talk. So we'll probably revisit that maybe,
mm.
hopefully in the next year or so. Who knows?
Nice potential teaser for something in Weatherford in the future.
Hmm.
Awesome. Cool. Nice. Well, I mean, we're already sort of, reminiscing about our past times meeting each other. But what will you tell people who don't know who you are? What do you do? What's your deal? Can you introduce yourself for people who are not familiar with Will Douglas?
Sure. Um, I am Doctor of Musical Arts from the University of North Texas, where actually I did all of my degrees there. I did a year of graduate diploma work under Elliott Fisk at the New England Conservatory, which was really fabulous. At UNT, I was with Tom Johnson. I have been in higher ed in the DFW area for about 12 years, where I've taught for as many as four colleges at a time. So it keeps me pretty busy.
Wow.
Currently, I'm an adjunct at Tarrant County College Northwest, where I've been for 12 years, adjunct at Weatherford College. And my main post actually is as the artist in residence and the director of guitar performance and pedagogy at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary and Scarborough College, which are they're two institutions under the same roof, basically. So the
Okay.
seminary side, we do church music and contemporary kind of
Hmm.
worship styles, and then under the Scarborough College, you have your traditional classical performance degrees. So you can do. I teach
Mm.
undergraduate and master's level performance and pedagogy degrees, and then we have right now in proposal a DMA. So hopefully in the fall of 2021, we're going to be offering a DMA in guitar. We already have piano and voice
Cool.
DMA, so that's already submitted. It should be online in the fall of next year.
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna actually ask how they organize it because I did my undergrad at Ambrose University in Calgary, which used to
Hmm.
be Canadian Bible College.
Okay.
So, I mean, I know I've made many comments as an obnoxious atheist on the show before, but back then when I went there, they sort of added the music program. Like, they added all the liberal arts programs, like, I think 4 or 5 years before I showed up. And then they added a Bachelor of Music while I was there. So, originally it was a Bachelor of Arts in Music. So, I was going to ask how that was
Mhm.
organized at Southwest Baptist Seminary. So, they have actually a separate college, hey?
Yeah. So there are. It is a liberal arts college, So the emphasis is on really on research and writing.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't have a lot of your, mathematics, hardcore mathematics courses and stuff like that. It's not geared that way, but what you have is a tremendous amount of like philosophy courses.
Right.
And that of course covers, your major religious philosophers and theologians, but also your major figures from every era of philosophy, really.
Yeah.
And it's sort of globally, right? So I mean, you get, of course, your classic Greeks and stuff that you see in a lot of Western philosophy courses, but they also get into more the Central Asian stuff as well, and of course within Judaism and Maimonides and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
Maimonides, and then Aquinas and everything.
Yeah.
Cool, nice. Yeah, because I think we had to do. They weren't like, if you were in the Bachelor of Music program, you didn't have to do very much theological stuff. I think there was a couple like sort of courses you had to do that were sort of part of being at Ambrose that were sort of theologically focused, but most of it was the same as you would do at another school for a BMUS. But then, yeah, of course, if you did worship music, it was a different thing. So those are, I see, it's kind of organized that way.
Yeah, it's everything is sort of is biblically based.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're going to be able to come and not have a religious education.
Right. Yeah. Ambrose
it permeates
kind of the same
everything,
thing.
right? So
yeah.
So it's kind of a part of the.
Yeah,
part
Ambrose
of the
was
whole.
kind of the same, which was interesting for me. Like being there while I was sort of like losing my faith in changing things was like, it's sort of weird because you're a student, you enter, it's like you think one way, and then as you're leaving, maybe you're at a different spot, and it's just a bit different. But that's cool to know that you're building a program there that's growing. That's really great.
It's great. I mean, it's a beautiful school, and very supportive administration and faculty. The building itself is 100 years old. It's this big, beautiful stone building.
Nice.
The faculty is phenomenal. We have over 80 Steinways. I mean, we have a really beautiful performance hall.
Cool.
We have our own music library, 3-story music library with a rare music collection and rare instruments collection, and it's a wonderful place.
Awesome.
Place to be.
Cool. That's great. And so you've worked at a lot of institutions and you've done a lot of training, and maybe let's talk a little more in depth about your sort of experiences in guitar education.
Sure.
But I think people might want to hear some of your playing also, because you do play the guitar as
sure.
well. You don't just study and do academic stuff, right?
That's right.
So people might have heard the prelude in the countdown from the third cello suite, right?
Yeah. So that was done actually live on air on a local TV show. I did my best to pull the audio and clean it up a little bit, but that was done quite a while ago.
Okay.
I still play the prelude, the Sarabande, and the Gigue.
Nice.
On occasion, 'cause I like picking those three because it's like it's like an appetizer sampler for Baroque music. So you don't always know what kind of environment or audience you're going to be in and what their attention's like.
Cool.
I like those three movements specifically because they give very contrasting elements, I think, from that period.
Yeah, and I mean they're all digestible too, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Preludes are very sort of almost capricious and toccata-like and fun and improvisatory, and you have this very beautiful Sarabande. It's initially a seductive dance, and then of course the Gigue is fast, it's sort of fun.
Nice, awesome, cool. Okay, well we're gonna listen to the Sarabande now, but this is recorded at a different time, right? More recently.
Yeah, this was just recorded a few days ago.
Nice.
I did this here at my home, and I'll just spill the beans. I actually a couple of weeks ago I fell and broke my ankle.
Oh no.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah. So I've taken to call these the tramadol sessions.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So what you can't see is the giant boot I have on, and it's not a cowboy boot. Interestingly, usually it would be.
Usually it would be. Yeah.
On my left leg. This is the hobbly Sarabande.
Cool. I had a picture actually in the countdown screen of you like
on the scooter,
but then I didn't put it up. I forgot to put it up. Maybe sometime during the show I can just like insert it here.
Yeah, do a little screen share.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
scooting around on your scooter on your knee. Cool. Okay, well, let's listen to the Saraband here. I'm just going to shut our audio off. And people watching, if you have questions for Will, please put them. Anything
Yeah, please do.
about what he's doing. But we're going to talk specifically about education and lots of other topics. So, but let's hear some Bach. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
nice.
I love that movement is I love more than any of the other movements in in the suite, just because it has a lot of personal sort of meaning for me. So my when I was learning it initially years ago, I would practice it at the breakfast table across from my grandfather while he would read the newspaper, and that was like I'd practice Bach, and that was our morning ritual, and we were about 3 feet apart.
Nice.
It wasn't a very wide table, and he was a huge classical music fan. He was the reason really that I got into classical music, and he was really close friends with Van Cliburn, and so I spent a lot of time around Van when I was younger. I didn't really know who he was, the pianist, and he sort of encouraged me to pursue classical music. Eventually, of course, I started out playing rock and roll like a lot of kids do. I didn't start playing classical music until I was 18. Although my first instrument was cello, but I was third grade, fourth grade or something. I was pretty young.
Cool.
But yeah, I really enjoy that. And Stanley's arrangement. He also arranged the prelude that you heard in the countdown, which is really, really nice. But his arrangement, the voicing, is really gorgeous in that movement. He did a really wonderful job with it.
Nice. Awesome.
Another Mean Green alum, actually, Stanley.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So the piece has a lot of personal connections then.
Yeah.
Janet Rush says, lovely, nice playing through the pain of a fracture. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet. It's my Canadian mom.
Yes, Janet is the best.
Yeah.
And Jessica Toutier says, I want to hear about the bunnies. Tell everyone about Loki and Willow. I need pictures.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I've got, we used to have kind of a zoo here. We had 3 dogs, and two of them were very elderly, and lost a couple of them recently. But we have these rabbits now. It's a new addition.
And did you have any say in buying the rabbits, Will?
Well, I had an opportunity to have a say, which I missed. So
Squandered.
Yeah. So I was teaching actually, and I heard my phone, vibrating, a text message coming in, and I couldn't get to it. I was teaching, and I hear it go off again. I hear it go off again. I hear it go off again. So, okay, this must be emergency, or my family thread's blown up or something. So I pick it up, and it's from Courtney, from my wife. It says, first one says, "Hey, I'm at the pet store or whatever, and there's a rabbit. Can I get it?" The next one says, "Too late. I got the rabbit." Next one says, "Oh, this rabbit is really bonded to this other one here. I don't know if I can leave it here." And then finally, there's one that says, "We have 2 rabbits." So inside of an hour, I went from no rabbits to 2 rabbets
without even knowing. Amazing.
Yeah. And you know how rabbits are. I mean, it can go from 2 to 15.
Yeah, in a matter of yeah.
So who knows? I'm maybe drowning in rabbits before we know it.
Yeah. By the end of the show, you're gonna have like 40. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with how long the show goes. Nice.
They're cool rabbits, though. They really are. I have a 3-year-old daughter who absolutely loves them. And it's good. Teaches her to be careful with animals and everything, because it's not like our great big dog that she can just kind of lay on top of. Like, she's got to learn to be don't squeeze them to death, basically.
Yes, and also be careful that they don't bite you.
Yeah, they're like miniature rabbits, right? And they're super docile. Like, they don't bite. Yeah, I mean, and anytime you come near them, they just come running up to you. They're like, it's the weirdest thing. I've never seen rabbits that behave this way.
Yeah, we had rabbits when I was a kid, and they were not that friendly.
No, I mean, I had the great big ones, when I was a kid too, and they were just like not interested in people at all. Like they were like, "Why do you have? We're not supposed to be in here. Please, like, let us go.
Let us go. Let us go back to the wild, Will." Yeah. Yes, I get that. Nice. Okay, well, now that we've gone over rabbits and pet ownership, we were already speaking a little bit about education, but did you study? Like, you didn't just study performance, then have you also done research into education and studied education at the post-secondary level?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting subject. So, my DMA is in performance, but my related field is in music education.
Okay, related field meaning?
Related field is kind of like a minor on steroids,
Okay.
basically,
Okay.
right? So you have your kind of performance doctoral seminars, and then you also have a related field at the master's degree level too, depending on the institution at which you study.
Mhm.
Um, but at the University of North Texas, so the University of North Texas is what's called a Carnegie Tier 1 or R1 university, which is basically it classifies doctoral research activity, right? So Carnegie Tier 1 classifies as the highest, or what they say extremely high research activity. So you end up doing at that kind of institution a tremendous amount of research and writing. So I was writing anywhere between 100 to 120 pages per semester.
Whoa.
So across 2 semesters a year, across 4 years, not including your dissertation, you're looking at 800 plus pages probably of writing, and while you're there, so it's quite a lot. Like you get really good. Somebody says, "Oh, it's like thank God it's only 5 pages."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
whenever you
yeah.
have to write something, and that's really what it is. You have 2 or 3 seminars that you're taking per week, right? And you'll have a short 4 or 5 page thing due, and at least one of them a couple of times a week, right? So you can get to 100 pages that way really quick, right?
Yeah.
So and that doesn't include any kind of like final papers or midterms or anything like that. So once you add all that stuff together and you look back at it, you're like, whoa, this is a tremendous amount.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But one of the things about doing education as a related field is that music education is one of the few areas that actually involves looking at research on populations of living people, right? So in other areas, music theory, I think in ethnomusicology, you probably, depending on your area, if you're doing more current ethnomusicology, you're probably taking a look at populations. But with education, you're having to take a very careful look because you're talking about how you're treating a population, right? So if you're going to implement some kind of new way of educating people, you kind of have to take the part of the Hippocratic Oath is, I will do no harm, right? So
Right.
you have to really, if you're a good music educator, if you really care, you don't always jump on the latest and greatest idea, right? You take a look and you see, what is this approach done across a population, right? Like what, is there any visible benefit? Are there any harms? That kind of thing. You take a look at how those things are measured. Has it been, is it a fluke? Has it been replicated? That kind of stuff. So you take research classes and teach you how to write about these things, how to analyze statistics and that kind of thing. So I stepped into it because I love to teach. That really, at this point in my life, especially, it's really, I enjoy that more than anything. And so I stepped into it actually at the suggestion of my friend Dan Kaiser, who is another DMA student at UNT. Hey Dan, if you're listening, he's a great player, super educator. He teaches at University of Texas Tyler right now. But when I was considering doing my DMA, he said, you should really think about music education. I think it would be a good fit. And it turned out, I think Dan and I were at least at the time, we were the only doctoral students in guitar who had ever done music education as a related field at UNT.
Which is odd because so many guitarists end up teaching a lot.
Yeah, well, there's a ton that do musicology, right? Like you get super into rhetoric and Baroque music and ornamentation and you and that can be very useful, right? There's a ton of doctoral guitarists with doctorates that have musicology somewhere in their background. And I had already done early music as my related field in my master's, and I felt like in the current marketplace, you kind of have to be the Swiss Army guitarist.
Yes. Or the
so
Swiss Army like musician almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I had done theory as my minor. I did as an undergraduate, and I did early music. So I played lute and Baroque guitar as a part of my related field in my master's, and decided, looking into the professional world, and with the encouragement of my friend Dan, as I mentioned, I went into the education side. I
Nice.
learned a lot. I learned a whole lot, even in courses. One was called, what was it? It was like college music teaching. Oh goodness, the dean of education, or the dean of academics was the teacher. He was a great guy. Warren Henry is a great guy. Anyways, it was I kind of signed up for the course thinking it was a methods, like for higher ed, but it was really more about how to do a CV and apply for jobs. And I already had like 3 buckets of jobs, and I almost dropped the class. And so I came to him and he said, no, hang around. You'll learn something. And I learned so much about issues in music education, social issues, the fixes that work, the things that don't. It was really, really enlightening. So I got a tremendous amount out of doing that as my related field. Anybody who's going into a DMA, there's a ton of music colleges out there already. There's a bunch.
Yeah.
People with PhDs in that specifically. So I would encourage anybody to at least take a look at the music education side.
Yeah, and I mean, I think also like it kind of makes sense that it would help your position afterwards, because institutions are probably looking for people who understand the issues of running a program. I mean, they kind of I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine they would want someone in the hot seat, like running the program, who can kind of evaluate at least evaluate the methods they're using and the results of those methods, in a analytical way, rather than someone who just knows how to play guitar. And I don't know, or is, musicology could be useful, and obviously that's necessary too, but I don't know, it just seems like it would help with looking for jobs after, to me.
Yeah, I mean, and it really was very I guess fortuitous for me, because the master's and the doctoral level in performance at Southwestern is actually a master's or a DMA in guitar performance and pedagogy.
Okay.
So we have, in those degrees, we have more courses in pedagogy than you would find in a typical degree of this sort of performance degree.
Was that in place before you got there, or did you institute that?
It's new.
It's new.
It's
okay.
new. So it was performance before. It's now performance and pedagogy, and it was really exciting because I was actually given the responsibility of designing the degree itself. And what should the courses look like? What are the courses? And I added things like there's a semester course at the master's level for just arranging guitar.
Yeah, that's a skill that will get you seriously further in getting just normal work day to day than almost anything else. Even as a teacher, right? I mean, the amount of things I've had to arrange for students, and the difference it makes when I can arrange music they love, whether it's from games or films, sounds silly, but actually making an effective arrangement for a student at the level they're at, and also for yourself when you're playing gigs, it's that's a huge skill. I guess we kind of develop it by doing Baroque music and stuff, but I've often thought that if I ever have a position at a higher, institution of higher learning, that I would want to think about, if it was possible, how to structure the program to actually make it, I don't want to say useful exactly, but to give people more of the tools they need when they get out into the real world as a freelance musician, especially, not, and I guess you don't want to take away from the ability to study performance and be good in performance, but it's good that you're thinking about that for your students, that they have, some additional skills going into the world. Because a lot of the stuff that I use on a day-to-day basis for my business, I didn't learn from school. I learned from other people and from experience and from trial and error, So it's kind of why wasn't this ever brought up? There are exceptions. Like in Maastricht, I had a really good art as a business course, which helped a lot. But I mean, it's really awesome that you can kind of direct the program that way.
It's been a tremendous blessing. I mean, for example, just in the master class, so everyone in private lessons has to sign up for master class in their instrument. And so every semester I have a project, and typically it's something like write a grant proposal.
Yeah. Useful, right? Also.
Something. Could be for concert series or something, a recording you want to do, or if you're on the worship study side, it could be, doing, outreach stuff
Mm-hmm.
with music in the church and that kind of thing. This semester, because of the pandemic, I have all my students working on their online presence. I have them going through Wix.com and doing different things and experimenting with building their own websites and like how to take a decent picture.
Yeah.
When all this started, a lot of my students, I'd have them set up for their lesson, and they turn on their camera and I'm like looking right up their nose, and
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
we need to have a good understanding about how cameras
Image.
work.
And how you present yourself to other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm also shocked at how many people don't even want to invest in these things. Like I've had colleagues where like, they're like, "Oh, you have such nice photos, like where did you go?" And I'm like, "Well, I got photos from this guy." And they're like, "How much did it cost you?" And I was like, "Oh, like 120 euros for like a couple hours plus editing and all that stuff, or whatever it was that I paid, And they're like, "Oh, I can't pay that much." And I'm like, "Dude, or whoever it is, you're going to get these photos and you're going to use them for 2 or 3 years as like what you send to prospective places that are going to pay you more than that per gig, hopefully,
Yeah.
or that amount per gig." It's like, I don't know. It just blows my mind that people don't necessarily, this is a bit of a rant, but don't necessarily see the value in investing just a little bit of money and like a good presentation. It's huge actually.
Yeah. A lot of the kind of free platforms, including the social media platforms, when you take a look actually at what your net benefit is, both in well-being and your income,
Mm-hmm.
I'd really be interested to see any actual large-scale metrics that shows that people are actually making a very large difference in their income across the board. You're always going to see outliers,
Mm-hmm.
right? But one thing you learn in statistics when you're looking at population, if you use focus on an outlier but ignore the population, that's considered an unethical
Mm-hmm.
study.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's an
Yeah.
unethical treatment.
Yeah. I mean more that
So
like,
you go, oh, this guy has a big YouTube channel or whatever. It's like, great for that guy,
yeah.
but if you, for example, if you invest in a service that's available, it's here in the States. I'm sure it's available elsewhere. Maybe there's something similar called Gig Masters, right? So it's like $160 every 3 months. But I added literally thousands of dollars a year in gigs.
Yeah.
Just getting on that website because it's very professional. People know it. Wedding magazines, whatever publications, link to it for their entertainment. For weddings. I mean, I have friends who make tens of thousands of dollars a year. People look at $160 every 3 months. That's a lot. But I mean, up until once Courtney got pregnant and I was teaching a bunch and got really busy, I literally I was getting two mini gigs. And I couldn't answer it. And if you don't answer back with a quote quickly enough, they kind of bump you down the priority list. And so I
Yeah.
canceled it. Not because it wasn't working out for me. It's just it was just too much. It was too much work. Literally.
Yeah. Sometimes I've been on a few websites like that for looking for the students where, you get to a critical mass and then you'd rather take on ones where you're not paying anything for the service, but the service was useful for that amount of time or whatever. I guess with the photos thing, I mean more like, I kind of agree with you. I think, free social media promotion can be a part of your portfolio, but it's not going to be, for like the vast majority of people, it's not going to be like a major source of income. Yeah. However, I think just like something like good photos or something like that, or a good website, it's like that's an investment that's worth making, because when you send people your materials, it has to be good stuff.
Yeah, no, that kind of, I mean, you want to have those things there, I mean, it's a digital business card basically.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Really.
But it just amazes me that they're like, some people don't even, if they don't have anything, and then they don't want to spend like $100 on photos or something, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, the photographers are artists just like we are.
Yeah.
I mean, we are a part of an interesting little corner of the economy.
Yeah.
And it helps. And the thing about it is, I've paid for photos and things like that, And then those photographers will get a gig at a wedding, and they'll the couple getting married will go, hey, do you know any good ceremony musicians?
Yeah.
And then I get a phone call from this photographer or a couple who was given the phone number from the photographer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of benefit to doing things like that, apart from of course, having a much more a higher quality.
Collaborating with other artists in other fields, and sometimes that means hiring them, and
right,
might result in collaboration later or something. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's all good stuff. But it's great that you're thinking that way as a teacher, and that you're putting that in your program, because I think more institutions and more people are trying to move that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's definitely a glut, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when I graduated, there's a service that allows for, it gives you the actual number of people who enter performance programs at every degree level and in the individual instruments,
Mm-hmm.
and how many people graduate. And we don't have access to this particular whatever. I mean, you could probably call your local university, and the dean of academics would probably send you a PDF of it. But my professor sort of, if I remember right, said that it's something that institutions have access to, these metrics anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So the average number of DMA graduates at the time, so this would have been the spring semester of 2017,
Mm-hmm.
was between 10 and 12 new doctoral graduates, DMA graduates, right, into the ecosystem. Right?
From in what area?
In guitar specifically,
In
right, performance.
But within Texas or within
the U.S.,
U.S.
the whole
Okay.
United States,
Oh,
right? Yeah, so the whole United States.
That's small.
And so that tends to be the number, right? But anyone who graduates in the United States, you typically become a member of the College Music Society, or you sign up for higheredjobs.com or something, and immediately the postings, you get daily emails on what's available. It's very, very rare that there's any kind of guitar positions open up, and often they're contemporary or jazz.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? That sounds like a lot of doom and gloom, and it can be a lot of doom and gloom if the reason that you're getting a DMA in today's world is because you want to become a tenure track professor, when 17% of all professors even are tenured or on tenured track. So there's 83% of the teaching across universities in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of
Is
lucky if you get an
done
adjunct
by
position.
adjunct.
Even, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I got my first adjunct position at TCC, I was told that there was hundreds of people that had applied for this adjunct position.
Yeah.
Which with a full load will pay you something in the order of like $1,500 a month, which is like, it's not very much. You have to have other work.
Yeah. It's part of being a freelancer at that point, in a way.
Yeah. I mean, the gig economy is, I mean, it's just not a bad thing. I mean, lots of people do it. I mean, it's more or less what I do. But the DMAs, I kind of think of it this way. Within the medical field, you have professors and researchers who have PhDs, right? You have MD PhDs or DO PhDs,
Mm-hmm.
and they are doing this sort of laboratory work and education and everything. But then you have your actual MDs and your DOs who
Mm-hmm.
are in the community doing the hard work of keeping the health of the community. And DMAs, I think, really need to start thinking of themselves in that way.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's just there isn't the kind of growth. Like, so there's an economist mathematician, Eric Weinstein, who I admire, who came up with this as I guess a mode within the economy called an embedded growth obligation. Right. So if you have an institution that produces something, right, produces educated people, that each of those fields will have within it an embedded growth obligation, right? So in other words, if you're from the hard scientists, from the hard sciences, and you're producing engineers, well, we always need engineers, right? So the embedded growth obligation is met by the need right? But in the humanities, we're producing a lot of PhDs and DMAs, and that embedded growth obligation, there aren't enough institutions to house this number of graduates.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with DMAs and guitarists, you know, we ought to be sort of natural entrepreneurs, or at least understand that about our field. So DMAs really need to start thinking of themselves more like MDs do with their own practices.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what is your role? What is your leadership role within your community?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because right now there's no concerts going on, so you know, getting paid from doing concerts is not going to be great. The income from doing concerts, your net take home, is also not super unless you're, you know, David Russell or somebody like that. So especially if you're trying to have a family, right? So if you're going to have the house and the car and the kid and the whole thing. So you really have to think about your community and how can you engender good faith in your community, right? And respect, and make yourself a character that people want to be around,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Surprisingly
that adds value. Yeah, it's very important. You know, don't be a jerk.
Yes.
Basically, and be willing to help.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how
so people
talented
really need to think about that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But I mean, this is like advice for anyone, not just DMA people, like graduates, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's and I guess I hesitate to. I mean, yeah, the DMA is a bit of an odd one because I guess what I feel about it is that like I think you're a lot more intimately aware of the data than I am, but I see kind of the same crisis of demand for the kind of positions you would expect to go for after graduating with the DMA.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I think is and I'm not really in the position to really tell people what to do, obviously, but it seems like not a good idea to go into it if you're not interested in what it's going to give you otherwise in terms of training, right? If you're interested,
Absolutely.
if you're interested in what it's going to give you otherwise, like what you did with music education, understanding how to, in a responsible way, educate populations in music, right?
Right.
That is a lot more, I think, a lot more surefire way of getting something good out of it than just like, well, I'm going to get this so that I can possibly get a position. Then again, of course, it is, especially in the U.S., it's easier to get a position if you have a DMA, obviously.
Yeah,
it's different in every
pretty
place.
Much expected.
Yeah, in Europe, it's not quite the same. You know, they don't really quite expect it here, although it varies a bit from country to country. But
yeah.
Anyhow, so yeah, it's interesting. But I think I just sort of, I think that there are kind of two sort of not lies, but like two sort of blueprints for after school that might be like a false hope for people. One is like the concert artist blueprint of like you're just gonna like win a bunch of competitions and have like an amazing concert career for, I guess, the rest of your life, which even the people who do have the great concert career when they're young, it doesn't necessarily last. And then two, this idea of like having a position that's not just an adjunct position, but is sort of like stable and provides for you forever. I feel like most people would do well at some point in their bachelor's to make peace with the fact that they're going to be an entrepreneur and a freelancer to some extent.
Yeah, you know, and it's okay to do some other things also.
Yeah.
Right. Like what maybe you get involved like Kirk Starkey was talking about with his production. You know, I mean, that's a very artistic pursuit to begin.
Or Drew Henderson, right? So.
Or Drew, right, yeah. You know, but even I have a good friend of mine, incredible jazz sax player, Kamon Fowler. The guy is like a real estate genius. You know, he might be as good at real estate as he is at the saxophone, which is incredible. You know, and he's still a recording artist. He still teaches. He still performs. You know, and all that. But he's got a family. He's got a couple of kids and a house and all that kind of thing. And you know, he's like, well, you know, I'm gonna make sure that I have a nice stable life for my family and all of that, and he's done it, you know, and it actually allows him to do music more.
Yeah, and maybe also be choosy about what kind of projects he wants to do. I mean, I'm only making my living through music, and I think that's how I want to keep it, at least for now. But But, all of us who sort of do music full time, especially when you're right out of school, you do stuff that you wouldn't necessarily jump on as an artistic project. You take gigs, you take students who are playing not necessarily the, exact type of repertoire you studied and want to enthusiastic about teaching. And so, I mean, I think one way or another, at some point, you're going to make some sacrifices for what kind of things you do for income, even if it's within guitar, right? I mean, and you might be surprised by some of those things. There's some of my students that I love working with the most are ones that are playing genres that I wouldn't have expected to be teaching. But I, got something really valuable out of those styles of music and teaching them and having to figure them out and help guide the student through them technically and musically. So, and it's made me a more well-rounded musician, I would argue,
Yeah, sure.
So
I've had to really go from basically nothing on jazz, I've had some students and I find myself playing with the jazz faculty at Southwestern on occasion. And, the first time I got on stage with these guys, these are first call dudes, and I'm just like this schlub.
But then
I had to go buy a guitar to do the gig, because I didn't have the right kind.
I mean, I have a student playing some like Fear Factory and Meshuggah and stuff, and it's like I had to like sort of my right hand, like my pick technique, I was like, oh, I haven't used a pick like this much in a while, so but I mean, I love that music, so it was like a great excuse to explore that technically, and guide her through it, and so it was, that was really cool. But okay, well, now that we've talked about like how to solve the guitar education, basically,
it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, everyone. We're gonna do the listening test. So I'm sure you know what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the part of the show where I play some guitar recordings for the guest and get them to try to guess the piece, the player, and/or the composer. So there's a possible 3 points per. And I've got a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced category. Although, the categories are a bit tricky because I don't know exactly what you know. So, Will, are you ready?
I'm as ready as I will be.
Okay. We're going to start with an easy one. Here we go. No, I'm just kidding. This is not an easy one.
I was about to say, did Emma put you up to this?
Yes, Emma did put me up to this. How did you know? I picked an incredibly obscure David Starobin recording of.
There's no way, man.
Of something by Edward Green. I don't know this composer. It's a nice piece actually, but anyways, there's.
I don't know. Put a link in the comments.
Yeah, there's so many of these new music for guitar volumes from Starobin, which are amazing, but it's just a great data mine of like impossible pieces for people to guess. Okay.
Yeah, I would never get that. Yeah.
Well, I think I'll give you a point since you knew it was Emma who put me up. Put
well,
me
at
up.
least I won't get a donut on this.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We're gonna do something actually not so hard next. Here we go. I think you might know this one.
The Capriccio.
Yes. So the piece is.
That's Capriccio Arabe.
Yes, by Targa. And the player. Do you want a hint for the player? Or do you want to hear a bit more?
No, I don't. There's a lot of reverb. I'm really tempted to say Julian Bream.
It's not Julian Bream, but let's listen to the beginning. There is a ton of reverb. You're right. Yeah. The beginning. Yeah. This is an American player.
American player. It's a bit. Yeah, it's naily.
Maybe we can. Yeah, it is naily. This player does have a naily sound, I will say.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No. It's a great sound, but like this player doesn't have or has
reverb. Yeah. I don't know. Is it Parkening?
It's not Parkening. This player teaches at a very important institution.
Oh, this is Jason?
It's not Jason.
Theo? Scott?
One more guess. Not Scott. It's Sharon Isbin.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Sorry, Sharon.
Sorry, Sharon.
My bads.
Great recording though. It's a really cool CD. It's called Alma Española, and she has some pieces with Isabel
Oh, I've
Leonard.
got that here somewhere.
Yeah, it's a good CD actually. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 out of 3 on that one because you got
Yeah.
Capitão Árabe and Tariga. Okay, next one.
Flaxen hair.
Yes. The Fil aux Cheveux de Laine. By
Oh no, my brain just went.
It's okay.
Fell out of my
I'll play some more and then you can.
I keep hearing Debussy in my head.
It is Debussy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
You're good. You got it. Trust your instincts, Will.
The beautiful is it half diminished chord?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
I think the first guitar duo I ever played was this for 2 guitars.
Oh, yeah. I love solo duo. Of course, they do Debussy's really incredible. Their arrangements they play. Let's see, player.
Yeah, this player is a player who you have worked with.
Who does? Okay, maybe. Is this Renee?
Nope.
Worked with.
Sorry, worked with. I mean, like you've studied with them, I believe.
Oh, Elliot.
It is Elliot. Elliot
Okay.
Fisk. Very good.
Okay. All right.
Yes. 3 out of 3.
I guess Renee because he I love the way he plays the arrangements of piano music.
Yeah, the arabesque is amazing.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, last one in the beginner category. This shouldn't be too hard, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, that's the Fandango from the Tres Piezas, the Rodrigo.
Yes.
And
The player.
some crunchy playing.
Yes.
In the best way possible.
Yeah, this player has very crunchy, powerful sound. I have to say, some of the most powerful playing I've heard. I'm sorry.
Is it Elliot again?
No, I don't repeat players, but it is
you
someone.
don't?
It is someone you've worked with as well.
I've also worked with as well.
Maybe Emma will know.
Who else could it be? It's not Adam, is it?
Not Adam.
Holzman? Okay. As I don't think he's recorded that piece. Not that
No.
I can't remember him having recorded it.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think I've ever heard him play Rodrigo, to be honest. He's like always playing Ponce and stuff in DNs.
Yeah, his Merits recording is amazing.
Yes, that's true. The Bard and
Is it
Klang.
Dale?
It's Dale. Dale Kavanaugh.
Yay, Dale! I love Dale. Dale is one. Well, first of all, she's one of my favorite guitarists.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Absolutely, she's incredible, incredible sound, incredible music making.
Incredible
she's
teaching.
also like the. Oh yeah. I've had 1 or 2 lessons with her. Once was actually at the Acadia Festival.
Oh, I thought you studied with her in Germany. Am I crazy?
No. But I've had lessons with both her and Thomas
Okay.
Kirchhoff, her husband. For those who don't know, and they're a great duo, obviously. But yeah, Dale is just a cool person. She's just the nicest. She plays at the level. She plays with the best of them. And it's nice when you get around somebody like that as a kid. And you talk to them, and when you talk to them, you kind of get the sense that to them at that moment you're the most important person in the room. Like they're not looking over your shoulder for someone to pull them away from this conversation. Like they really are listening. And Dale was always like that with me as a kid. So yeah, she's the best.
She's awesome. I played for her in Hamilton actually when Emma had her there.
Oh yeah.
And
really
one of my first sort of master classes outside of Calgary, I had only played for like sort of the people that the Calgary Society brought through. And I remember I played Rodrigo for her, and she really like kicked my ass a little bit, which was great.
Yeah, yeah,
she,
no, she'll definitely do that.
yeah, she whipped me into shape, which was great. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
I had in Germany at Iserlohn, I had a lesson I think with both her and Laura Young in the same day,
Yeah.
if I remember. Is that right?
So you're just
No,
like,
no, it was Oscar Gilia and Laura, I think, in the same day.
oh, that's intense.
It was super intense, and I remember I was playing the lead Onavota for Oscar, and at one point he like smacks the back of my guitar, actually, like the back of the headstock.
Yeah.
He's sitting over here to my left. And
Yeah.
smacks. He's like, no, you have to love the chord. I'm like,
Yeah, you have to love the chord. Yeah, exactly.
thanks.
Yeah.
I kiss it or like.
Thanks, Oscar. What
I
does
don't know
that mean?
I don't.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's like, and then he's like, can I take your score? It was a copy. It was photocopy. He's like, I want to play this for my wife. I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I played for Laura, and she kind of snuck up behind me, while I was playing, and then just like played one string, just like a free stroke, and it just rattled my whole guitar, and I went, whoa.
Yeah.
What did you just do to my instrument? I think Dale and Laura had as far as like single masterclass experience, those were two of the most impactful I think I've ever had.
Yeah, Dale's masterclass for me was really amazing. Yeah, incredible. Yep. Okay, next one. Okay, sorry, I just had to.
That's Foggy Mountain Breakdown.
Yeah, you're correct. Wow, you actually knew. I just like looked for like the most sort of like country banjo thing I could bluegrass.
How many points did I get for that?
Exactly 2 1/3.
Okay. Actually, I did a bunch of research for for a paper I did that was on bluegrass.
Nice.
Music. Yeah.
Nice.
Which was a lot of fun. There's not a ton of scholarship on it yet. Cool. There's some really good. What's available is very good, but there's
not a lot of it.
A lot of it is very old, but there's some newer stuff that kind of goes into kind of the isochronic elements of it, right? So in bluegrass, there's this phenomenon where you have moments that have like this extra bit of music at the end of a phrase, just out of nowhere, and it will add, it will change the meter basically or extend the meter, for just that moment, and there's no real reason for it. It's just kind of, they call it the crooked road. Anyways, so there's some really interesting research on that music and kind of some of the conventions by a researcher guy named Jody Rockwell, I think is his name.
Cool.
Really cool stuff.
They do that in prog metal also.
Yeah.
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 For no reason, an extra beat.
It's simply to add numbers to the end of the thing. This is why.
Little did I know trolling you with bluegrass music would result in a whole like musicological explanation. So.
I am from Texas.
Yeah.
Which is not the birthplace of bluegrass. That's an appellation thing.
Right. Okay. Aaron Ringo says true Texan. Hey, Aaron.
Boom. Hey, Aaron. Aaron is the guy who built my amazing guitar.
Oh, we should have mentioned it. Right.
Yeah. It's an incredible. I mean, the thing is loud as can be, and just beautifully balanced. It's a double top.
I played
spruce cedar.
I've played Chucho's one.
Oh yeah, the Aztec.
Yeah,
that one's the first. That's the first Aztec. That one's super.
Yeah, because
Very
he also was studying in Maastricht at the same time as me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
with Carlo. Yeah. Anyhow, okay. Next song or next piece. Oh my gosh, next piece to check out and guess.
Okay.
This is the intermediate section now, by the way, in case you didn't notice.
Yeah. I'm intermediately falling on my face. I got Foggy Mountain. It's all downhill. It's all down mountain.
In the first section, you got 9 out of 9 if we count the point for guessing Emma's trolling moment. So
Yeah, I know this piece.
Da-dee-dum, da-dee-dum. You want to hear a different section? Does that help?
Yeah. If you don't
Oh,
mind.
Emma's got it. Don't look at the chat, Will. Don't want you to cheat.
I can't see it. I don't
Oh, Ben
think.
Diamond
Okay.
has it too.
Um,
Yeah, I'll give you some hints. The composer,
sounds.
it's a Italian composer.
Oh, it's Dominiconi,
Domeniconi, correct. But it's not. It's
and it's the
variations
something
on
variations,
an.
something.
It's not Korean Baba, but variations on similar thematic folk elements, sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
I can't remember.
Variations on an Anatolian folk song.
Yes.
Also,
Ah.
Emma Rush says Turkish variations. It's Anatolian, but okay, similar enough.
Okay.
And who's the player? Do you want to hear some more?
David Russell.
Not David Russell. You know this player very well.
I know this player very well. Let's see. Who do I know very well? But
Recorded this piece.
is it Emma?
It's Emma. Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Emma Rush. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was surprised she didn't guess herself in the chat. She just says Domeniconi Turkish variations. Anyhow.
Did you see turkey variations?
She said Turkish variations.
like gobble gobble. Okay.
No,
okay.
no,
I was
no.
about to say.
Anatolia. Anatolia is a region in Turkey, correct? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm
Yeah, I know.
bereft of
Large peninsula in
Turkish
West.
geographic knowledge.
It makes up the majority of modern day Turkey. Okay, so it's. I guess then it is Turkish variation because it's the older word, sort of like Persia and Iran. It's an older word for. Oh, she said Anatolia is in Turkey. Yeah, I knew that, but I thought that that's why that's why I corrected Anatolian because it's more specific than Turkey, right?
Is it a region or is this a city we're talking about?
It seems to be a region, according to Google.
Interesting.
That's what I thought as
Brush
well.
up on.
Yes, Armenians, Kurds, Turks, Greeks, Assyrian people. Those are the ethnic groups within Anatolia. Anyhow, yes. Cool. So you got 3 out of 3.
Part of one question in the intermediate. So
yes, nice. Okay, next one.
I recognize that the harmonic language. Do it again.
I'll play a later section. Here's a big hint. This piece, I believe this piece was popularized by David Russell. If that helps.
Is this Morel?
No, it's not Morel.
Not Morel.
But you can get a few more guesses, don't worry. Not American, but has lived and worked in America for a long time.
Okay.
This composer.
Russell.
This piece. I think it may have been written for David Russell, actually. I could be mistaken, but I think it was.
Okay.
Someone can fact check that for me. Ben already got the piece. So Ben, can you tell me if it was written for David Russell or not? I'm pretty sure it was. I should really do my research better for this show.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
it's Aquarelle.
Oh.
It's okay, Will. Don't
Okay.
worry. Wait, you can't get them all, right?
This is
Don't worry.
super hard pieces I don't play.
Yes, exactly. I don't play this piece too. I played the third. So who's the composer?
The Aquarelle is Assad.
Yes, Sergio Assad. I played the Suite Brasileira number 3, the one he wrote for Thomas Filato, and that was enough Assad to like make me like want to kill my right hand, like cut it off, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, all of his music is incredible and incredibly difficult. Even the stuff that the melodic nature of the music deceives you.
yeah. The
In
suite
terms
is
of
super
difficulty.
playful and it sounds easy. It's just like this playful, easy, fun, loving sort of piece. But then you try and play it and you're
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna die, you know.
yeah, and that toccata,
Yeah,
that David Russell put that cool home video out of,
yeah,
a few years ago, a number of years ago.
crazy.
That's just it's just hard stuff, man.
It's nuts. Yeah, yeah. The last movement of the suite, the Caboclinos, yeah, is in F major, and it's that kind of like crazy toccata. So
Yeah.
you just end up doing this all the time because you're like going to the low F, and it's brutal.
Yeah, and I should know that because I've heard my friend Austin Wall
Yeah.
has played the Aquarelle at the Collegiate Peaks, a few times, and as I've heard it, I mean, wasn't it? I thought was it not written for some competition?
Maybe Ben says yes, it was written for David. He checked it.
It was written for David. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe Austin was learning it for a competition or something.
It was the set piece in like Parkening one year, I think.
Okay.
Or something.
Yeah.
It's often the set piece for competitions, actually.
It's hard.
Okay, so you got. Oh, and who's the player that we have to? So this is an American player as well, an American GFA winner.
An American. There's not a lot of them. Jason Vio.
No, 2 more guesses.
2 more guesses. Well, Adam was one, but it's not him. American GFA winner. Wasn't Jason the last one back in like 2002?
Well, there's Javier Jara.
Oh yeah, that's right. Is that Javier? Is that
No,
who's
it's
playing?
not Javier.
No?
It's not like beefy enough to be Javier. The sound.
I don't know.
It's Mark Teicholz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know who's playing well. I know the name, but
yeah, he is from this amazing CD he did with Guitar Salon International, where he played 18 different waltzes on 18 vintage guitars.
oh, cool.
You should really check it out. It's one of my favorite
That's
CDs ever. He has like the Usher waltz, the Ponce waltz, like the Villabush waltz, all these really cool waltz choro, all these like really cool a Chopin waltz, and they're on all these like old, like some of the guitars are from like the 19th century and stuff. It's very cool.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, you should really check it out. It's a very cool CD. Okay, so you get 1 out of 3 for getting the composer correct.
Yeah.
Next one in the intermediate category. Wait, where is it? Oh, did I not add this one? Okay, 1 second. Yes, exactly. I have to look it up here. Sorry, everybody. Okay, here we go.
This is Ponce, the variations of the Folius.
Correct. Variations on the Folius, Ponce.
Yeah. Is that Eduardo Fernandez?
No, we have already mentioned this guitarist on this stream.
Okay.
If that helps.
That is a big fat piece.
Yes. Emma says that is a beautiful Teicholz CD. Yes, it's one of my favorites. I love it.
Well, now I'm definitely gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Mark is awesome. I was gonna go study with him for my master's, but then it just was too expensive to go to San Francisco.
Yeah. Let's see. Who do I know who's recorded that? What a beast of a piece to learn.
It's Italian guitarist.
Oh, okay.
Wait, let me make sure. I'm pretty certain.
Is it Carlo?
Nope.
No.
It's not Carlo. Yes, he's Italian.
Italian guitarist.
We've already mentioned. Emma Rush says Dale. No, Emma, I already played Dale's Rodrigo. I'm not going to repeat players.
Yeah, he said no repeating.
No repeating. Can't make it too
An
easy.
Italian who we mentioned. I guess my memory is just completely shot. I don't remember talking about any.
It's Oscar Gilia.
Oh, that makes sense. I heard him play Ponce's Sonata 3 in Isolone in 2009, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. That was man. I mean, that was a good concert. He really played very, very well.
Yeah,
very well.
That's
very
awesome.
Well. Yeah.
Emma says she missed it. You missed our whole rant about how awesome Dale is, Emma. You missed out. We went on for a while. Okay, so you got the piece and composers, 2 out of 3. Okay, so in the intermediate category, you got 6 out of 9. Not too bad.
All right.
Okay.
I'll live with it.
We're on to the advanced now. You ready?
Oh boy. Is that Jorge Caballero?
It's not Jorge Caballero, but that's actually a really good guess. If I didn't know better, I would think it's Jorge also. But it's also
it's got that attack, and it's a lot of notes.
This and very fast. This player may have a similar kind of style of playing to Jorge Caballero, and also play impossibly large transcriptions as well.
Yes, is this Yamashita?
Yeah, Yamashita. Yeah.
Yamashita. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Misplaced my accent.
Yamashita. Yeah. And do you know the piece and the composer? And it's not sped up, people. That's legit the speed he plays.
Yeah, that's his. And he was probably standing up when he did.
Yeah, he was probably also moving the guitar like this while he.
Yeah. Causing all kinds of phasing issues.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Do you want to hear a bit more?
Yeah. I think I have this recording. Is it the same one? Is it the same one with the Firebird Suite on it?
No.
Okay.
This is a CD from a CD of all one composer and all one type of piece. If that helps. Do you want to hear a bit more?
Mm-hmm, sure.
It's not a transcription. This is a guitar piece.
Is this that? Is it the Rodrigo Toccata?
It's not the Rodrigo Toccata, no. But this is a guitar piece, but it may as well be a transcription, just like Rodrigo's music. But it's not Rodrigo's music. But it may as well be an arrangement, even though it's written for guitar ostensibly.
Yeah.
It's not Rodrigo though. Julian Bertino says "standing without a stand." Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Italian.
Incredible. I mean, I can't do it.
Italian composer. Ben Diamond says Legnani Caprices. No, Ben, not Legnani.
No.
It's no. This is a lot less guitaristic than Legnani.
Yeah, this is a mess. I don't know.
It's one of the Tedesco Caprichos, the Goya.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He has a CD of all of them, which is pretty crazy. Some of the way he plays some of these, it's pretty insane. It's a little too much, actually. A lot of it. I kind of prefer Zoran Dukic's recording, but it's amazing.
I've seen video recordings, and I've heard some of them recorded, but I've never actually seen anyone play any of them live.
Oh, really? Oh, you should have come to my middle of the year for second year master's recital. I played the 18th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, before COVID hit us all.
Good on you.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm gonna record it this year on a CD. I think I'm gonna record a CD, and I want to put that on it. It's really cool. Monstrous piece though, and of course Carla made me play all the articulations as written, which nobody actually does because it actually makes the left hand kind of hellishly difficult. But Carla's like, it's written there, you should do it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
A human can do it.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone's doing it.
He also I think he wanted to push me with my large hands to the breaking point of ability to do weird crazy fingerings where I can stretch, to get the articulations. So I think he was kind of treating me a bit like
a science experiment.
Yeah, exactly. How far can I make him stretch, basically?
Yeah, that's Elliot you know, his most of his fingers on his left hand are the same length,
Yeah, it's weird.
but it's not like that on the right.
Yeah.
And so when I started studying with him, I had never really noticed this about him. And he was playing through. I learned his version of the Soar Grand Solo, and there was just stuff that I couldn't possibly reach. He's like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, and his pinky just like kept going, and so it's like there's like 3 more knuckles, you know, and and so you know, my eyes did this, and he saw my reaction to his finger, and he's like, "Okay, look." Apparently, he had this teacher who was really tough. His very first teacher when he was a kid. I think he said it was like an engineer or something. The teacher was, and made him learn all this really ridiculous, stretchy, you know, targa stuff that little children have. You know, it's like you wouldn't give that to them to play.
Yeah.
But he did, and he learned them. And apparently, you know, just as his bones grew, you know, that it slowly started to stretch out. And his fingers, one hand are just completely level.
That's insane. Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Fighters do this also in MMA. They'll take broomsticks and things and run them along their shin bones because it causes the body to react, and the bone fibers elongate so that they become more flexible, right? So that when they kick stuff, their legs are less likely to break because there's more flex than there otherwise is. So I guess what happens is the bone, as you put it under stress like that, the fibers sort of elongate. You know, and you I don't know if you've looked at your left hand, but oftentimes most classical guitarists, our left hand fingers are slightly longer. Well, yours are already long to begin with, so you probably.
Oh, they actually are a tiny bit longer, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, make sure that your knuckles are sort of lined up, right? So that's pretty. That's pretty common.
Interesting.
Right? So you can see the base of my fingers are the same length or set up the same way.
Yeah.
Right, but if you look, my left hand is slightly longer than the right.
Yeah.
It's pretty common.
Interesting.
And then you'll see the weird, also the bump in the muscle here from where you sit. Your arm on the guitar, that guitar bump.
Yeah. Crazy.
I was sitting. It was actually in Hamilton, sitting with Gohar and Isaac Bustos, and we were comparing our weird body mutilations from guitar.
From guitar, yeah. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm always like trying to do it in a smart way, of course, to avoid injury, or to avoid stressing them out, but getting my students to do these lateral motion kind of exercises and things, and it's really crazy. You don't notice until you start teaching sort of beginners, especially adult beginners, that you realize how many things you do with your hand that are not at all natural, and people's muscles and hands are not set up to do whatsoever until they play guitar.
There's just nothing in our everyday life that really mimics guitar playing. Yeah,
and people are always like, "Oh, my hands are just too small," and it's usually like people with like normal sized hands. You know, they're like, "I can't reach." They're like, "Well, you're gonna have to change your body morphology, essentially."
Yeah,
you know, like,
get to mutilating.
Yeah, exactly. Over time, in a safe way, as to avoid stress and injury.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't get any weird devices or like try to cut that. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do that. Okay. Next one in the advanced category.
Okay.
Okay, this one's a deep cut, so. Any idea?
Nope.
Austrian composer?
Austrian composer.
Late 19th, early 20th century.
Late 19th, early 20th century Austrian composer. Nope.
Okay, it's Ferdinand Rebet.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not familiar with that literature.
Yeah, this one's a deep cut. It's Sonata.
Cool piece, though.
Yeah, super cool piece. And I'll give you a big bone for the guitarist. A hint. This guitarist plays with Drew Henderson.
Oh, Michael. Kolk?
Yes, Michael Kolk.
Yeah. Good musician.
Yeah,
guy.
Amazing musician. I sort of also wanted to plug his CD because this CD came out recently of 20th Century Guitar Sonatas. It has like this, and it has also the Jose on it, and it also has the What's this one that Steve Cowan plays? By
Oh, the Icelandic one?
No, not the Icelandic one. 20th century,
That was
right?
so
Not
cool.
21st century.
Oh, not 24. Okay. Yeah.
20th century. It's this one that was lost for a long time and then found. What is it? I really want to learn this. It is Cyril Scott, the Cyril Scott
Okay.
Sonatina. Really amazing piece.
Okay. Yeah, I actually don't know that one.
Anyways, it's a really cool CD.
Cool.
Julian Bertino says, my left hand fingers are over half a knuckle longer than my right hand. I have small hands that need to reach 10 string notes. True. Julian has tiny hands for the giant guitar he has. So
Right. What kind of giant guitar does Julian play?
plays a 10,
Oh, he
10
has
string.
an extended
Yeah.
one, right? Yeah. Okay.
10 string, yeah.
I've seen your recordings, man. Very good playing. Like,
Yeah.
nice recordings.
For sure. Yeah, Julian is awesome. He was on
Yeah.
the show last month. Anyhow, okay, so I'm sorry, 0 out of 3 on that one, Will. Well, I'm only gonna torture you with one more, and then we're gonna move on. So don't worry. Last one. Any idea?
Is that a Guado?
No, it's not a Guado. This is possibly more famous than a Guado. Probably, yes, definitely more famous than a Guado.
Definitely more famous than a Guado.
Yes, but related. Not related like blood related, but you know.
Yeah. I don't know. Sore.
Soar. It's soar.
Yeah, and the piece is
If you name the type of piece, I'll give it to you. Any idea?
it's a minuet.
It's not a minuet. It's
Just guessing.
there's also a larger form. Like it's a multi movement.
Oh, so it sounds a little bit maybe like an Allegro, like the fourth movement, maybe.
It is a fourth movement, actually. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Fourth movement of a
Of a sonata.
correct.
Yeah.
And the player
The key sounded like. Can you play it again?
Yes. I don't actually know the key, but
Is that A? Is it A major? Sonata?
sounds like A actually now that you say it, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I don't have perfect pitch, so
Yeah.
this is
So
Grand Sonata Opus 22, fourth movement,
Okay.
Rondo Allegro.
the player,
Again, someone we've mentioned already.
but you're not repeating players,
No.
though. Actually.
No, but someone we mentioned in the show. Sorry.
It's not Isaac. Tone's not buttery enough.
No. Also, someone
Although
you know very
Isaac's
well.
got amazing tone.
Yes, he does.
What now?
Also, someone you know very well
Mm,
and have worked with.
someone I know and have worked with. Is it Adam?
It's
Holtzman?
Adam. Adam
Okay.
Holtzman. Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. I can hear that. It's got that super attack.
Yeah. Super attack. Okay.
Yeah, very extremely articulate.
Yeah. Very articulate. 4 out of 9. Okay. So beginner category 9 out of 9, intermediate 6 out of 9, and advanced 4 out of 9. You did quite well.
All right.
Yeah.
He helped.
Not bad at all. Well, I help everybody. So I mean,
Okay.
if I don't help you, it's just unfair because like at least when you're in school and you do listening tests, it's like usually they give you the listening list like a few weeks before or a month before.
Mhm.
Whereas here
Yeah.
it's like the entire guitar literature and you have no preparation.
Yeah.
So
And in my defense, like I've been heavily medicated, so everything just ends up sounding like a Velvet Underground cover.
yeah, nice, yeah, you're breaking your foot. Not in prime condition for the exam. So
That's my excuse.
shall we listen to some music? Do you want to listen to the Vice or the Casella or?
Let's see. The Casella would be interesting. So this is from his 11 children's pieces that he wrote for or dedicated to Tedesco, I believe.
Oh, cool.
They were friends, but they're originally solo pieces, and I heard one of them in this course I was taking. It was Analytical Techniques 3, which is a sort of like late 19th century, 20th century, a lot of serialism. It's basically how to write about that type of music in kind of a scholarly way, without saying this is the 5 chord or this is the whatever, or this is a tone rope, like, you know, like actually saying something meaningful. Anyways,
meaningful, nice, yeah, very good.
So this was a piece, the first one. There are 3 here. They're very short, and I just loved the melody. I just thought it was gorgeous, and nice. So, you know, I needed a little bit more music on one of my DMA recitals, just a few minutes. And I said, well, you know, the whole thing was a chamber recital, so it was guitar and flute the whole recital. I said, well, I'll do some arrangements, and then the flautist Bethany Paget, who's playing here, who's a DMA from Louisiana State, she helped me with all the flute side, because I don't play flute. So she kind of, you know, some of the range and some techniques and things that were available. So.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Cool. Nice. All right. Well, and this is your own arrangement. Super cool.
Yeah. And they're great pieces. They're not hard at all. You know, really. And they're fun.
And they're called.
It's 11 children's pieces.
Cool. By what's his first name? Casella.
Alfredo Casella.
Alfredo Casella. Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Well, let's listen to this arrangement.
What's up?
Okay, very nice.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
job.
Those are cool little pieces.
Yeah, awesome. Nice. Yeah, we were just talking off screen about chamber music, and I was saying I don't know, we were comparing notes and playing with different instruments and how different it can be playing the same piece with different configurations in terms of what's needed for breath and other things. But do you play a lot of
Yeah.
chamber music, Will, still?
Whenever I get a chance, you know, part of the artist in residence thing is there's a lot of performing
Okay.
involved. You know, it's just part of the job. So you're sort of doing a lot of different things. Um, and then I was with, did the duo, it was the Texana duo, is what we called ourselves, for a while. And that was really fun. And then, I played in the UNT Collegium Musicum Baroque Orchestra doing, Baroque guitar and lute as a part of the continuo section. Um, it, you know, and I the only actual concert that I've played since all of this happened, the pandemic, was an outdoor, like a front porch um, concert. So there's a community right here, um, not far from where I live in North Fort Worth, which is in North Central Texas. And the community butts up against Eagle Mountain Lake, and so there's some homes down there that go right down into the lake. And I have one friend and then now a new friend who are who play in the Fort Worth Symphony Orchestra, which is a sort of regional orchestra here in the States. And I did. It was kind of a British invasion night, So I did "Here Comes the Sun," Tommy Emmanuel's arrangement of it, and then Mark Houghton did a really gorgeous arrangement of Norwegian Wood that he gave away on Facebook at the outset of the pandemic. So I did those, and then the flautist and the violinist, and then a very long time friend, my first music teacher in elementary school, who's now a dear friend, did Penny Lane. It was flute, violin, and then he was strumming acoustic guitar and singing. And they did another.
Awesome.
What else did they do? It was a lot of fun, but we mixed in some classical stuff too. And I did entr'acte, flute and guitar, the Iber, and then Mertz's arrangement of Stanchion.
Nice.
With violin, which I'd done before with flute, and it was just very different, with the violin. Adriana is the violinist from, I think she's second chair violin from with the symphony, and just a phenomenal musician. It's just the phrasing it was just out of control.
Yeah.
In the best way possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I love playing chamber music. I was in a guitar duo with guitarist Brian Burns for a number of years. We do like Scarlatti arrangements and stuff, and that was really a lot of fun. I love doing guitar duos. I've been in quartets and stuff like that, but I really like duo. I like the duo stuff. It's just a little more. You can be kind of a reactionary musician, right? When it's just two of you, you can really kind of learn to change things on the fly, and I think in a way that you can't when you've got like four people. It's a little harder. At least in my experience. I mean, I'm sure quartets who've been playing together for a very, very long time, I'm sure they.
But it's like I think you're right that you sort of don't have the immediate reaction as readily there because there's just too many variables to think about, too many people you don't know. It's funny you mentioned how different it is playing the stanchion with violin for the first time. I had the same experience playing Faya. I stepped in for someone playing with a violinist. Zoe Bonnen, a very good young Dutch violinist. She's from Maastricht, actually, so I was playing around that area because I had a guitarist friend who normally played with her. And playing the Faya songs with violin for the first time. I'd always played with singers or wind instruments up till then, always.
Yeah.
So like playing the Jota, for example, some of those long phrases, I was like rushing things, and she was kind of like, why are you going so fast? It's like, I'm used to people who have to breathe, So having the violinist who can just like hold the note as long as she wants is like a very different experience.
I've always wanted to play those Faya songs. There's a soprano on our faculty that asked me about maybe doing them early on last spring.
Wow. Well, if you want
And
advice on editions, I have like a sort of Frankenstein edition that's a combination of all the ones that I've done plus the piano version. I need to actually just make my own arrangement because I've changed so many things according to what I found in the piano score that like I
yeah,
need to
send it
publish it.
send it my way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll get on that now that it's pandemic time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cool pieces, but they're not exactly as guitaristic as they sound, you know. Um,
I haven't looked at them, but I've heard that.
yeah, they're a lot harder than they seem, but they're really rewarding. Very, very rewarding to play,
Yeah.
I have to say. Yeah. Anyhow, cool. Okay, something else I wanted to ask you about, Will,
Okay.
is lately I have been avoiding social media for my own mental health. Partly
Yeah.
for my own mental health, but just because I'm just sort of like, I think like a lot of people, I'm sort of realizing the effects it can have on like my way of seeing things. The sort of the sort of stream of information you get is curated more than you think. You know, the way it
Hmm.
affects your interactions with others. Also, a big thing for me is sort of like I realized it was affecting a lot of the way I saw myself as an artist.
Yeah.
How I felt about my own achievements versus others, sort of being in a comparative mindset more often, stuff like that. Which is
Yeah.
ironic to talk about on a podcast / live stream I'm doing through Facebook and YouTube. But
Yeah.
I know you've done some looking into this kind of stuff, and like as an educator and sort of and also a freelance professional, what is your view of social media today for the young guitarist or the older guitarist or whatever guitarist in general?
Well, I guess when I started really being concerned about it, or I started noticing an issue, was with my students. Expressing, I was getting kind of increased numbers of students who were confiding, in me and about issues with depression and anxiety,
Mm.
and I started comparing notes with some of my colleagues, and they were noticing the same thing. So I started kind of looking into what was being written and that kind of thing. Um, and there was an article that was put out by a social psychologist out of the Stern School at NYU named Jonathan Haidt,
Yep.
and a former ACLU lawyer, which is the American Civil Liberties Union, uh, uh, who had experienced a suicidal depression and had been hospitalized, and so became interested in trying to help people who had
Wait, is this
who were.
Jonathan Haidt who was
No,
hospitalized?
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
it's Greg Lukianoff. So
Okay, okay, okay.
he was a lawyer with the ACLU. Excuse me.
Yeah, okay. I was just confused because I've been thinking about maybe trying to read Jonathan Haidt's book, one of his books, since I've found what he's said in some conversations very interesting, but I didn't know that about
Yeah,
him.
there's I guess the two most well known are the Righteous Mind and the Coddling of the American Mind.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like now I have to like give a disclaimer about that name, because I had later found out that some people thought it was coming from sort of a political philosophical bent, from which it
Mm.
is not. And in fact, the name it was not even given by the authors. It was actually something that the publishers had forced on
I
them.
mean, it always is, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
and the authors don't like it. They address it a little bit in the book, but they can't really talk
yeah, it's kind of
smack about the
like,
title in the book.
I mean,
But in interviews,
one of my favorite authors, Christopher Hitchens, has a book called Letters to a Young Contrarian, and he hated the fact that they called it that because he thinks being called a contrarian is like terrible. So he spends the first chapter like talking about how stupid the title is, and it's like, I think a lot of authors feel that way, where they just, they get sort of a title foisted on them, and they have to like live with the
yeah,
consequences and live up to it.
yeah, and the thing is, people hear the word coddling and they think about these words that you hear like snowflake and all this other
Yeah,
incredibly useless,
condescending. Yeah.
unhelpful, condescending language that doesn't actually address, that's not teaching language. First of all, if you're trying to change somebody's mind, and if you're not trying to change somebody's mind, then why are you talking to them about it in the first place?
Hmm.
It's just an incredibly strange way to operate. But anyways, so the original article, the name was changed. I think it was in the Atlantic.
Hmm.
They changed the name of the article. It had this very long, kind of clunky title. And the original article was kind of hypothesizing this stuff about the millennial generation. Well, as they as I think Vox Media had dug into it further, it turned out that millennials in their attitudes and in depression and anxiety were actually very similar to both Generation X and to the boomers. So they were left with this issue. Well, why are we facing these problems? And as it turned out, once they looked into the iGen or Gen Z, so people born after 95 or 96, um, they saw that starting in about 2012, there was a massive skyrocket in depression and anxiety. And at first, okay, and this is the way good science works, right? So first they say millennials. No, it's not millennials. Okay, so what's the issue? So we need to study further. Okay, well now we're getting reports, accurate reporting that says that it's more in this Gen Z category, and then the next criticism is, oh well, no, they're just more comfortable with reporting
Right.
that they
Yeah.
have it.
It's always hard
Well,
to tell if it's as attitudes change towards mental health and stuff. It's like you can't. It's sort of
yeah,
hard to tell what the yeah.
except there's a control for that, and the control for that is suicide.
Right.
And suicide was going up in tandem, right? So the same numbers, same increase, right? So it can't purely be reporting at that point because there's no harder measure than
What
being
people actually
no
go
longer
through with
alive.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And attempts went up at the same rate. So the
Right.
rate was about 36% for young men and 70% increase in young women.
Yeah.
And so they started taking a look at change in stimuli, and one of the first places they started to look was in cell phone use, and devices and social media. What they saw was mostly in young men. They were doing mostly what they were doing with the TV before they got the device, and they were playing video games and that kind of thing, right? But what they were seeing with young women was a lot of bullying. There's a tremendous
Right.
amount of bullying on social media, and comparing and one phenomenon called you've probably heard of FOMO. It's a fear of
Yeah.
missing
Fear of
out.
missing out. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's another one that we may not be familiar with because we're not in that age bracket. It's called FOBLO. It's a fear of being left out.
Right.
And one way that parents really can't detect is a group of friends will alienate one person from that, and they'll take pictures of all of them together out in public,
Right.
leaving
Yeah.
that person out with the intent of them seeing it, right?
Right. And
And
it's kind of like, I mean, teenagers and adolescents will do that for like whatever stupid reason, you know?
right,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when they started digging in further into use, and if you want to look into the scientific literature on this, the researcher who's really done the hard science on it is her name is Jean Twenge, Twenge,
Okay.
who's done, and these studies are massive, and they control for socioeconomic status, they control for civil unrest, they control for all kinds of, and initially we thought this was a very American or North American phenomenon, but we're now seeing the same issues rolling into Europe and other places.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I as far as social media is concerned, in its current form, it's not tenable, right? We're not, first of all, we're not geared to communicate this way. I mean, it's one thing to have a podcast because you and I can look at each other and we can talk, and an idea can evolve in real time in front of an audience.
We can clarify what we mean. I mean, I think I personally just observing the discourse too within like media on various social issues and various other things, my feeling is that like the only really productive way of conversation discourse on the internet is long form or like really good editorial kind of media press. But even then, that's got it a whole, I think media, especially in America, is in kind of in crisis. But anyways, that's a different topic. But
yeah, I mean, it is, I mean, I don't think anyone, regard whatever your political
stance is, yeah.
and I don't make my personal political stuff known publicly or privately. Because I'm an adult educator.
Yeah.
And that's difficult enough. I'm really super careful about my ability to communicate with my students without having noise.
Yeah.
there.
But I was
So
just
I
gonna
just
say,
don't.
like, I feel like the long form conversation is one of the only productive ways to have conversations online now.
Sure.
Because, like you said, you can have, the idea can evolve in real time, and I mean, very often when you listen to someone in a long form conversation, and what you've sort of heard about them, the caricature is not represented in the reality of what that person says or thinks,
Right.
whether you end up disagreeing or agreeing with them, or thinking their ideas are good or harmful or whatever.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's the only way to sort of really get at what someone's saying, rather than just getting a whole bunch of noise of, anyways. But
Yeah.
yeah, it sort of worries me, because I think on multiple levels, like for myself, I already see the sort of detrimental aspects of social media, and then I wonder, yeah, I worry about how, like, young people deal with this, because I don't know if I'd grown up in an age with Facebook since I was like 8 or 10
Yeah.
or something, how that would be. It's
Sure. Well, I know for me, it's really bad. It's Facebook specifically.
yeah,
It's Twitter. Twitter, it's like you're in the Thunderdome,
right,
basically.
yeah.
Like I don't know any of those people on there really. I mean,
Hmm.
there's a few people
If
that,
someone
that
with
I
an
know, but
avatar starts screaming at you, it's like, okay,
yeah, it's like some cartoon foxes like yelling at me for
yeah,
something, and I'm like, I don't.
it's fine, yeah,
What's Fox's opinion?
yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't. it's not really that big of a deal. But Facebook, it's I've watched a lot of very long, sort of decades long friendship implode right in front of me. And that's
yeah.
really, I think, what bothers me more, because I stopped engaging in specific, especially political stuff on Facebook like quite a while ago,
I mean,
a
I
couple
don't
of years at least,
think
not,
there's
if not
anything
more.
wrong with engaging with political stuff, I guess, if you're okay with people seeing that. But the problem I kind of have with Facebook is that it's trying to be a catch-all for everything. It's trying to be
Hmm.
like simultaneously sort of like pictures of your cats and your family and connecting with your friends on a personal level, plus activism, plus political, like, discussion,
Right.
plus your professional life. It's like everything at once, and it's kind of like, yeah. I mean, I also don't feel like I want to fragment every part of my life necessarily, but it's just sort of, that can't be like a healthy mix in every situation. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it gives us an illusion of closeness, of a sort of shared sort of culture. And you go from place to place, as people are very different. Cultures are very different, and cuisine, architecture, clothing,
Yeah.
you name it. I mean, just in the United States. I mean, it's just I lived in Massachusetts, and I've lived in Texas. Those are the two places I've really lived, and it's very, very different. Interactions with government and it's just really, really different. Just the
Hmm.
way we speak. Uh, so there's a lot of things that go on, on social media, that we act like we're sharing a space, but we're not sharing a space,
Right.
right? And so we can't really understand exactly what it is that what someone is trying to say. And there's a couple of things. Predatory listening is really difficult to deal with. So it's that person, when you're talking to them in person, you can tell they're just waiting for their turn to say whatever they want to say.
Hmm.
Or people that read uncharitably. That's another way of thinking of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, the
and
sort of the assumption of what someone means, and reading, the sort of straw man that you really want to destroy into their argument, even if it's not there completely.
yeah.
Um,
And then you take a young person who, much of Gen Z is actually graduating from college now,
hmm
if they hadn't already. Maybe they're even in grad school. um, but you take somebody out of the home like that for the first time, and their whole world is changing. Everything is changing. And then a lot of my young students will send me friend requests and everything, and they friend request their professors who are posting about this crisis and that crisis. And I mean, it's a
hmm
lot. That kind of stimuli for a young person, I mean, that's a tremendous burden mentally and emotionally to put on someone.
hmm
And so I've just basically lost interest in trying to do that, because I haven't seen any evidence that it actually helps,
Yeah.
whatever cause that I'm trying to forward.
Yeah.
So I don't know, go volunteer at a local
Yeah.
shelter
Or
or
have
something.
conversations with people in a format where you actually might be able to learn something from one another. Um, and I say that as a little bit of a hypocrite, because, well, I don't post things myself that are, debating in nature. I do respond to things when I see them, which
Sure.
maybe I shouldn't do. But um,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I've
I mean,
had
I can.
yeah, I've had some productive dialogues on Facebook. I feel like the problem is both parties have to be in a space where they're trying to listen
Mhm.
charitably trying to understand, trying to, that, and that's just, it's not usually the case that both people are on that page. So
Yeah. Well, regardless, I think of what we post, whether it's politics or puppy dogs, it's built on this bedrock, this system that has this sort of depressive quality to it and addictive quality to it before you post anything, right?
Right.
So it's not just that it's the written word, and we've only been reading and writing as a species en masse for like 500 years.
Right. Yeah.
Elites had been reading before that, of course, but like the literacy rate in certain parts of the world has just increased astronomically in the last 50 years.
Along with most other measures of well-being.
Yeah. So the idea that we can give meaning to deep ideas in this short form writing, it's like the lowest resolution possible way at looking at important subjects.
Yes. And
we're doing it on a platform that has depression, anxiety, all this stuff built into it before you post it.
And comparative stuff, and also the performative aspect. The performative aspect is part of the problem, right? Is that whenever you're writing something on Facebook, whether it's on your own post or someone else's, that everybody's watching, right?
Yeah.
And so everything you do, whether it's positive or negative or benign or intense or whatever, it doesn't matter. It is performative in nature, and everybody knows that, and that alters that dynamic entirely for conversation.
Right. That can become what is known as a perverse incentive, right?
Yeah.
So it changes the incentive, and also I also, it has a little bit of I'm co-signing onto this movement,
which is or whatever viewpoint
if
you
the
express.
movement makes a bad decision, maybe I'm less likely to call that out or detach from it, because I've now stated publicly that this is something that I belong to.
Yeah.
So.
Or when you say something, it's not like you can walk that back 4 years later or 4 months later when your mind changes, right? Which our minds are all going to change. I mean, that's how human beings work.
I hope so.
Yeah.
We're in a lot of trouble if we can't, and I don't know. I guess it's just really the teacher in me. I don't like making my job more difficult in any way. So if I don't. Teachers ought to focus on helping their students learn how to think and not what to think.
Mm-hmm.
The better, more critical thinkers, even if you disagree, maybe you can reach, some kind of dialectic where you can compromise or reach a more accurate version of the truth or whatever. But what's going on, what I see going on, especially on social media, is entirely dysfunctional. It's entirely dysfunctional. There's nothing.
Yeah. And there's very little interest. The thing that alarms me is even among the people that I really agree with and really would like to forward what they're saying, because I think it's helpful or good or moral in some way, I see very little interest on how to think. I see a lot of interest in what you should be thinking and what you should be saying. And that kind of disturbs me because I'm like, I guess it points to a deeper problem, which is I feel that we're as a species, we're not in general at the point where we're epistemologically ready for something like social media. Like our ability to evaluate information in a robust epistemic way and look for our own biases and our own logical fallacies and all those things is so underdeveloped as a species en masse because we just have so many so many incentives not to do that well that we're kind of in a bad position for this. Sorry, really quickly, Emma says, Kevin Manderville says hi, he can't tune in because he's on the road driving his kids around and he doesn't like Will that much. But now she's got to run. Thanks for joining, Emma.
Thanks, Emma. We're not supposed to function this way.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be able to look into this many artificial windows of people's lives and see whatever the best version of it is that they present. I mean, and this is all you can't really say, honestly say settled science. That doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
But you can say that based on our best information,
it's
right
not
now,
healthy. Yeah.
It is a net bad.
Yeah. And also like just professionally for me too, I sort of realized at some point that I was automatically comparing myself so much to other artists that like I started to
Yeah,
feel
I've done the same thing.
upset when I saw people being successful, my friends, which is terrible. I should be happy for them. Like, so,
Well, I mean, that's tremendous that you can say that, because I think everybody has felt that on some level. I mean, I've had similar feelings.
yeah,
It's sort of
but it's for people who I
weird.
really love, like people who I'm like, I know intellectually and I know emotionally that I'm really happy for them. But it's just like that weird thing where when you log onto Facebook, you see all like, oh, this person got this position and this person won this competition. And then you just like, it's automatically in your brain, you're like, why didn't I do all that stuff? It's like, because you're comparing
Mhm.
yourself to 40 other people who are only showing their best moments that day, So like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a serious problem. So, kind of going back to the teaching side of things, I'm not into putting my moral intuitions on anyone. It's not my thing, but I do, like, for example, we have this online presence project that I do with my students. I do talk about using things like the Facebook Pages Manager, which just changed. I think it's called Business Suite now or something, which will allow you to run all of your professional pages without actually having a news feed. So you can delete the app from your phone and still be able to post your videos and things, and you can repost it to your personal from there.
yeah,
Right.
the only reposting to your personal. Okay, that's good because I was gonna say the only problem is personal Facebook pages get a lot more traffic generally unless you pay
Right.
for ads.
Yeah. And that eliminates the news feed, right? And the
Right.
constant notifications for likes and comments and all
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
I guess the only alternative is to sort of like, I mean, I do like using the newsfeed in the sense that when someone does something, I can sort of say like, "Hey, that's great, good, good to connect with you." But it's just hard because you always have to sort of turn on that like self-awareness when you're scrolling of what it's doing to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
manage sometimes. It's a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and you can put on, like, on iPhone, you can put a widget too that has your screen time breakdown,
Right.
and so what I did is, on one of my pages on my phone, it has that widget. It's huge. It's like takes up half the screen.
Nice.
And then below it I have my social media stuff.
Yeah.
So every time I go on there, I have this big reminder that says you spent this much time
Yeah. Yeah.
on these apps. And I
Imagine
go,
if you've been practicing your
nope.
trills.
Right. So and just being aware, like,
Yeah.
and being honest with the fact that, I mean, we say, oh yeah, no, it doesn't affect me. It's like, okay, oh yeah, buddy, I've seen what you've posted. Like, there's no way
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
posted that and had regular blood pressure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
so I mean, just being honest about what's really happening with it, and setting a good example for our students, right? So that's the other thing, is being on social media has kind of made us educators and I guess role models, or however you want to put it, all the time, all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever you're posting, that's going to end up in your students' news feeds. My young students, so I still teach kids in private studio. Their parents are my friends on there, and so I'm very, very careful about what it is that I put on there.
Oh, now I'm worried, Will. What if I said that could potentially
You're fine.
alienate people? Just so everyone
You're
knows, my
fine.
words are my own, not Will's. Okay.
No, it's all good. And my students and employers know me very well.
Yes. Yeah, and they know that I'm a different human.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true for sure. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's also a little bit tricky because you still want to be authentic, of course, in all these situations.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's tough too, because music as a commodity has really, we have a scarcity crisis,
Yeah.
right? In that there isn't any.
right.
Because
Isn't
it's all
any-
digitized.
Oh, yeah,
What?
I see. Isn't any music, you mean, or?
No, there isn't any scarcity.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Right,
I was like,
right. So music is this odd commodity that basically just takes up space on a hard drive.
Yeah.
Music is not something that you can hold. And so we're trying to figure out how to get our music to people
Heard,
in
yeah.
a way that we can monetize it. And so it's not like
I
we can
feel like
afford
I've
exactly to just vacate
Yeah, I feel like I've just.
every space.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. That's the problem. I would have honestly gotten off Facebook a long time ago if it
Yeah.
wasn't for the Leviathan Lobster group I'm a part of, plus classical guitar. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, I also. I like uploading my playing and having people listen, but I've realized lately that. Well, I've sort of first of all, I've given up on monetizing it in a digital form. unless
Yeah, it's
I'm going to record a
impossible.
CD this year. I'm going to try and sell
All
that
but
CD, obviously, especially if physical copies, have some printed,
hmm
etc. But like at the same time, I love making recordings. I love making YouTube videos. I'm going to do some with a luthier, Steven Dentom, soon in
Oh,
Germany, and
cool. Yeah, I don't know him, but I see his pictures on
yeah,
Instagram of his
he's a
work and
riot.
his
Yeah,
beautiful guitars
yeah, his
and
beautiful
and
guitars
his
and
awesome hair.
beautiful
Yeah,
curly locks, and
yeah.
yeah. I'm supposed to go there as long as they don't close the border because of COVID. And he has like a church you can get for free, and he lives in a little city called Winterberg,
Cool.
and I'm gonna
Nice.
record on his guitar. So I love doing those kind of things, and I love posting on YouTube. But I've realized like I don't necessarily want a ton of views. What I want is quality viewership. So I'm sort of trying to produce a product that I know people who are really into what I do and really like my playing
Yeah,
are going to really enjoy, even if that's a couple dozen people or 100 people or whatever people come back to listen to me. Like it's a lot more
sure.
important to me than, I don't know, sort of being able to monetize it en masse, if that makes sense.
Well, you're doing a good thing with the podcast. I know you have you have really regular viewers and stuff, and you've got pretty good numbers on your channel and everything, and
Thanks,
that's
man.
great. And I think, I mean, I started the Human Trials podcast with my brother,
Oh yeah, that's right.
just because we were kind of getting a little bit frustrated with trying to communicate. My brother is a published medical scientist here in the States,
Yeah.
and has been published out of the Cleveland Clinic, which is a big, it's our top research hospital.
Awesome.
And we're having this fight over masks and that kind of stuff,
Right. Yeah.
and I was just like, and I hadn't really engaged any of it, but I was kind of watching from afar, and I was just like, hey, well, why don't I just bring on an actual dude
Yeah, who knows
who
about this
knows
stuff.
what
It's
knows
amazing
about
to
this
me
stuff.
how quickly that became politicized.
It was
um,
incredibly fast in the
I
States.
this is
I
the
don't know
thing.
about everywhere, but it was here for sure.
Yeah, it's a little bit here, although I feel like in Europe things become less of a culture war issue less quickly. um,
Oh, I believe it.
and it drives me crazy because I'm like, things like mask wearing or other like stuff like that should not be like or public sort of safety stuff, right? It shouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
like become automatically like left versus right. But it feels like in North America, and I include Canada in this actually too, because we have a more binary system than a lot of places, and it's just really
Mm-hmm.
sad that
Yeah.
things become that rather than like, let's talk to people who know the science and then have the discussion. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be discussion about it. What I'm saying is like, it's depressing that things become a culture war issue like almost immediately.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's the with what I've learned from my brother, and then also brought on a really brilliant doctor and professor at medical school here, Randall Phillips, is that in science you usually you don't get the kind of information that you can dunk on your political enemies with, right? It's
Yeah.
because for example, masks are a good example because they're not 100% effective, but scientists never tell you that something is 100%,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's not. It's
for
not.
example,
Yeah.
you brought up the religious issue earlier on. Well,
Hmm.
there's a famous physicist, Sean Carroll, who, I don't know if he identifies as atheist or agnostic or whatever, and he was asked, how much, does God exist, or what's the percentage, and he's like, less than 1%.
Right.
Right.
But
And this
that's
is
not
someone who
zero.
really
Yeah.
does that's yeah,
But
but he's a scientist,
yeah.
right? So
But the
he
thing
he
is that
won't say zero.
this is a
You
misunderstanding
know.
of agnostic and atheist, though, and just also drives me crazy because they're not mutually exclusive. In fact, you can be an agnostic theist, because whether you're a theist or an atheist is independent of whether you're a Gnostic or agnostic about an issue, right? Like if you're Gnostic about an issue, you claim to have knowledge, whereas if you're agnostic, you say, I don't know for sure. Like I just don't know. I don't have enough information, right? And that sort of is more, I think that's the more defensible position within theism or atheism, is like, if like, I just think it's a misunderstanding of, like you're saying, a misunderstanding of how
Yeah, it's a sort
knowledge
of a
works.
linguistic trap, right? Yeah. So with masks, for example, because a good scientist is going to be honest, and they're going to say, well, I
Yeah.
mean, no, it's not 100%, but if you wear a mask and another person wears a mask, then you mitigate up to this certain point, right? And then you multiply that across a population, and you
Right.
end up with this result, and
Yeah.
and that's not
A politically like
it's
weaponizable point.
yeah, it's not the tongue lashing you want to give your uncle at the Thanksgiving table, right?
Yeah,
Right, like
75%
it's
chance
not
of
the kind of
releasing it.
ammo, when
Yeah,
you're being just intellectually honest, and it's dry, it's not red meat, it doesn't make for good radio or TV or whatever,
right.
um, but that's just the way the world works. We had someone ask about the sort of the riots and things that are happening in the United States, and the spread of the virus
Hmm.
because of that. And there's not good information, so you had people looking for one to exonerate and one to convict on that
Hmm.
particular subject, but the information is just not there.
Yeah, we don't have the
And
data, so you can't
people will
draw a
pull in
conclusion. Yeah.
this study or that study, but oftentimes the studies are misrepresented and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, we want an answer, but the world doesn't work that way
Yeah, but
sometimes. Sometimes we just don't get an answer.
humans are not good at saying we don't know, is the problem. But that's
No,
that's why I get
they're
that's
right.
why I get so frustrated with the agnostic atheist like misunderstanding, is that like being an atheist, meaning you lack a belief in God, does not mean you claim to know there is no God. Like it's you don't have enough information, therefore you lack the belief. But my point is that like whether you're a theist or atheist doesn't matter. If you're an agnostic in the sense that you admit that you don't have that knowledge, that's like more important to me. Like that people are intellectually honest no matter what issue it is, whether it's religion or something else. Is that
Sure. It's much easier to know who it is that you're speaking to when they speak that way.
yeah,
Right.
because they're saying here's my lack of knowledge, therefore my conclusion is affected by that, whether I have the knowledge or lack it, rather than
Mhm.
just like showing the conclusion and not discussing how they came to that.
Yeah, and for me, the tricky thing with these topics, because I am an educator, is that it's not that I don't have opinions on them.
Of
I
course,
do. I
yeah.
just keep them to myself. Because I'm basically a paid information person.
Right.
And if I can't get that information into the head of my students, and uh, then because of some noise interference that I've created, because of whatever I thought I was going to get out of bloviating about what my opinions are about things,
Hmm.
it's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
I know it's going to cause a problem because I've run into those problems before. This is something that I'm not saying I'm just making up.
Yeah.
This is just something from over a decade of higher ed experience. And at the community college level, that's one thing. When you're teaching at a community college, you know I think I love about teaching at a community college and teaching guitar. And I taught music appreciation for about 6 years until I just got too busy. I'd teach the night classes, right? And there in night classes, you've got like a mother of like 4 kids who works a full-time job and is trying to get a degree, like
Yeah.
and they're like the best students in the class, sitting in the front of the class. And, I'm not going to sell those students short by trying to, make little ideological clones of myself. That seems really selfish.
No, it seems incredibly selfish. But the other thing is like it's not. I don't even know, like for me as an educator in the sense of teaching private students, um, I'm not sure that it's not. I never want to share my opinion. It's that I want to make sure that whenever I'm sharing something, even a musical thing that has to do with guitar, if it's what I consider to be an opinion, that I show very clearly my process of coming to that. Especially if it's not guitar related, but so that if it's relevant at all, that they understand that this is how I came to it, and I'm not sort of like imparting it just as like I'm the teacher and therefore this is the way things should be.
Right. Yeah. Just
Um,
giving good reasons for what you're
yeah,
doing.
and not just
Sure.
good reasons, but showing the epistemological process so that the student is equipped to do that. Like you said before, teaching people how to think, not what to think, or how to play guitar,
Right.
not what they should play. It's very important to me. I feel like it should be part of any teacher's sort of basic integrity, is to like give students tools rather than just like answers, which may not fit for them or may not be applicable for them, you know, later on with what they want to do. Right. I mean, that it's just it's a different mentality. And I think teaching a
Yeah.
student how to do that, how to use their own mind and critical faculties in a intelligent way and experiment and come up with ideas and then test them is way more valuable than teaching them a whole bunch of information that they're just going to like sort of try to repeat, you know.
It's like I always think of that movie. Did you ever see Multiplicity with
No.
what's his name, Michael Keaton?
Okay.
It was a comedy, I think, in the late '90s,
Nice.
where he's like he's a contractor, like a construction contractor.
Yeah.
And he's married, but he's too busy, like he can't mow the lawn right, and he's like messing up a bunch of areas of his life. So he starts this, I guess, geneticist finds him, played by I think Rob Reiner, and clones him. Right. So he makes one clone that's like very sensitive, who can be at home, like, taking care of house things and be with the wife, and one that's like tough, that can work with the construction guys. And then, so he's number one. And then the others are 2 and 3. Well, 2 and 3 don't want to do the lawn. So they make a clone of a clone, right. To do the lawn. and it ends up like making a Xerox of a Xerox. Like the more copies you make, the worse they get. And so he's like very dumb. And like they walk in, he's got a boot on his head, and he's like nailing a board with no nails, just hitting a board with a hammer, and I'm just like, and I think about that whenever before I try to I guess push my ideas onto somebody, that it's like, what am I actually doing? I'm making a really low resolution copy of myself. Like, as soon as they go out and have an argument with somebody, they're going to make a fool of themselves, because I'm just giving them garbage basically, and then they're going to resent me. I'm just nope.
Yeah.
No sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Watch the movie though; it's very funny.
I will. That sounds great. Nice. Well, now that we've solved, what have we solved? We solved guitar education, social media.
That's right.
Essentially everything.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Or at least be aware.
Don't do Facebook.
Be aware of what it does.
Unless you're listening to Mike's show, don't do Facebook.
Yeah, just stay on just for my show. That's it. That's all.
That's right.
Cool. Well, I have some would you rather questions to lighten the mood, Will.
Okay.
If that's okay, and then we'll listen to a last piece. I guess we might not get to all the music, but that's okay.
No, that's okay. The last one's the coolest one.
I've kept you here for a while.
Okay.
Classical guitar, would you rather, or just guitar, would you rather? Would you rather have shaky hands or scratchy/bad nails on stage?
Oh, the scratchy nails.
Okay. Yeah. How come?
I have, I just already have, kind of shake a little bit, like that's when, if I get nervous, that's the way it manifests.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I have like reoccurring nightmare of like getting on stage and not being able to calm down.
Yeah.
I think it was not my first jury, my second jury. Ever, at undergrad, like I was super shaky. I was just so terrified. Because it was in front of the entire guitar department, right? So all of the guitarists at UNT, which at the time, also, all the jazz guitarists, it was like 90 people or something.
God.
Yeah,
That's
and all
brutal.
the medical students. Yeah. And I was just, it was. So yeah, bad nails.
Yeah, bad nails. Okay. Yeah, I used to have a shaking problem too. It doesn't happen really anymore.
Yeah. Sure.
But I started as an adult, so like started guitar when I was like 19. So I kind of had like a 3 or 4 year period where like shaking was a real occurrence often while performing.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience. I mean, I started with classical when I was just a few weeks shy of 19.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I started classical a year after when I was 20, but still, it's just at that age, I think you're already self-conscious. So when you enter even a new genre of playing guitar, it's like, you sort of don't get like that experience of being a kid and performing a bunch and then growing up on stage, as it were. Anyhow, okay. Would you rather teach a student with a bad attitude or bad flatulence?
Flatulence.
Okay.
Sure.
Much better. Okay.
Yeah, because that's just temporary and it won't infect my entire studio. Like,
yes,
as in all of my students.
The bad attitude, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah. No toxic people. It really messes up a studio. It causes all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
No bad attitude.
No bad attitude.
You're out. Sorry.
You're out. No bad attitude, and Will's studio, you get the boot. Okay.
Nope.
Would you rather play Justin Bieber or Disney arrangements for an entire concert?
Justin Bieber or who?
Disney.
Disney?
Yeah.
Disney, for sure.
Okay.
I'm a dad. I hear Disney all the time.
Okay. That doesn't include Star Wars. I just realized that would be a good loophole.
No. I did a arrangement of uh, of that main song from Moana from my daughter's first birthday.
Oh yeah, the how
Um,
far I'll go or whatever.
yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
I did that for one of my students here.
Cool.
But in Dutch it's Ooit
Nice
zal ik
tune.
gaan, which yeah. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I actually I don't know really much Justin Bieber, so
okay,
I can't really.
yeah.
That's not in my
I did
library.
Moana and Coco for that same student. She was very
Oh,
thrilled.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did some simple version of was it is it a Poco Loco?
I don't know.
Is that what? Yeah, that's it's one of the songs from Coco.
Oh, okay. The one I did was
A little crazy.
Remember
Yeah,
Me. Remember Me.
yeah. That's nice. That's a touching song.
Yeah, and this student of mine, she's a very young student, and her dad also takes lessons with me, and he plays. So I arranged like duo versions for both of them, for them, and for
Sure.
both the songs. It's very
No,
cute.
Disney definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bieber.
Sorry, Bieber. Okay, would you rather play that concert in a duo with Emma Rush or Kevin Manderville?
Well, I would probably have to go with Emma. She's my enforcer. In case we get mobbed by fans afterwards,
She'll
she would
keep you in
totally
line.
knock all of them out.
Yeah.
And she'll protect me from
Nice.
from our throngs of friends.
Kevin will just be like run away like to the bar or
No,
something.
Kevin will just
He'll
laugh at me
yeah.
while I get piled on.
Yeah, he'll just stand in the corner and like observe.
Because of all of those aggressive fans at
Yeah.
classical guitar concerts.
Yes, exactly. Would you rather have dead strings or be dead inside while on stage?
Dead strings.
Dead strings, okay, yeah. Will doesn't do well while dead inside.
It
Okay.
depends on it. Maybe if I'm playing serialism, I might go for the dead inside.
If you're playing like Kinestera or something. um,
Anyways, here's Lagrima.
yeah. Anyways, here's Romance by Anonymous. Okay. Would you rather give up barbecue or give up Baroque music?
That's not funny.
It is funny. Earlier, I asked Jessica the same thing, but with cheese and Italian opera, and she had the same response. She's like, "That's not a fair question."
Man, are you serious?
Or combine them both in like a barbecue Baroque concert experience.
Baroque BQ.
Baroque barbecue, yeah. There's your next idea for your next event.
Yeah.
Will.
I'm not okay. Fine. I'll give up the barbecue.
Really?
There's
Wow.
There's other ways to eat meat.
True love for Baroque music. Wow.
Yeah. There's only one Baroque music. There's other stuff.
Other ways to eat meat, yeah.
Yeah.
On pizza, etc. Nice. Is there anything else you want to address? Oh, we didn't talk about the collegiate peaks, but is there any other stuff?
Oh yeah, no. This is where we're talking. I know. I've been at this for a while, but
no worries.
yeah. So the collegiate peaks guitar fest retreat.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is something we've had done for 3 years. Obviously, we didn't do it this year for obvious reasons. But I like to call it classical musicians in awkward positions.
Nice.
Because we do some high adventure kind of
like
things,
petting
like
goats,
water rafting and petting goats. Yeah, you heard about Kevin breaking his nail on a goat.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't done anything like rock climbing, but we do some hiking and stuff. But that's actually quite relaxing. Apart once you kind of get used to the altitude, of course. But nothing super high. Like we're not like climbing peaks or anything. And fishing and we'll go and visit like ghost towns and the old mining towns that are completely abandoned and now people go there just to kind of sightsee and that kind of thing. But this town Buena Vista has become this kind of little mini cultural center, and there's really incredible cuisine and really great venues. We play in this place called the Surf Hotel one of the nights. Where literally you have these beautiful arched windows on either side of the hall going all the way to the end.
Awesome.
And on one side, there's a little walkway where there's some little like cocktail tables, and then a rail, and then the Arkansas River right below you.
Oh, awesome.
And then on the opposite side is a canyon wall, right? And so you can see this while you're performing. It's
amazing,
spectacular. And we'll do kind of master classes, workshops, that kind of thing earlier in the day. We'll make breakfast. We have lunch and all that. together, and then at night we'll play in some venue and we'll go eat somewhere in town. It's 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 my favorite guitar thing that I do. I mean,
Sounds amazing. I mean, people always choose the festival based on like the prizes, the faculty, all that kind of thing. That stuff does matter, especially the faculty when it's fun
yeah,
people like you. But I have to say that sometimes the best way to choose a festival is the location because you're paying to go somewhere
right.
to do
Yeah,
guitar for like a week. It's, and those things end up kind of being like a mini sort of social vacation a lot of the time in some
yeah.
ways.
And
And
we try to make it really affordable, right?
yeah,
So, for example, if you stay up in the loft, like it's $400, and you get to stay for the entire week, 7 nights,
yeah,
and it includes your breakfast and your lunch,
yeah, that's awesome.
right? Like you're not going to get a vacation really anywhere for that long for that price,
Yeah, and you get to
right?
perform, right?
Because yeah, and get to perform in and because the idea is, this needs to be a retreat that's geared for musicians.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
we don't make tons of money. We can't like go on cruises and stuff like this all the time,
mm-hmm.
but it's also a way to network and in a way, but you really become very close friends. Everyone who's gone now comes every year. We only have ever like a couple of spots available because the others are taken up before they even go on sale.
Yeah.
Practically,
Yeah, and
you know
I
and
really like that model too because like we did Renee's festival in Carrion de los Condes last year before the
oh, I've
pandemic.
heard a lot of great things about that.
Yeah, just incredible. And it's the same sort of thing where you perform every night in a venue. In this case, for people on the Camino de Santiago, the pilgrimage road, and I really love that mix of sort of like a cool location, activities to do and go see, and places to perform, and that you play every day
Hmm.
for a live audience. I think that's a really winning sort of formula because you're in a beautiful place, and you also get to share music and you get experience and you get to do sort of semi-professional work with other people. And I just think like that's a much more attractive model as an attendee than like going to some festival where you enter a competition, maybe get knocked out in the first round, and then just go to hang out with people at some establishment, which is also fun. But like I,
Sure.
I like this sort of performance experience aspect and like the all that kind of stuff. So I think that sounds like a very good setup and sort of a way to sort of make it attractive to people who want to attend.
Yeah, well, that's why we kind of we bill it as a retreat. It's
Yeah.
a vacation for guitarists. It's a
Yeah.
guitar vacation, uh, and it's small, and we just want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I've run a festival in the past. Emma has, Kevin has been super involved with the GFA and the education side, and
Mhm.
numerous festivals as well. It's a lot of work. It's very
Yeah,
stressful.
yeah, and I don't mean to,
So
to knock like the sort of traditional festival format. I love Emma's festival at Guitar Hamilton.
of course, of course.
Yeah,
Totally get it. Like, I mean, the con about doing a guitar retreat is there's no competition. You're not going to win any money.
yeah,
You know,
but at the same
like,
time, yeah.
it's a different. Your benefit is different. It's a different, polemic, right?
It
So
also establishes a kind of different atmosphere. I really liked in Carry On that everyone was just sort of learning together and performing together, no matter regardless of level. There was everything
yeah,
from sort of like adult amateur players who I don't mean amateur in a bad way, were quite good guitarists, but weren't doing it professionally, to like young professionals who do music for a living, to like students in their teens and early 20s. And so it's nice to have a mix like that, and everyone's sort of supporting each other. And I just think the guitar world needs we need that kind of variety in the events we run.
sure, yeah,
So
yeah. Doing guitar for a living is not easy, and that's the thing with honestly doing festivals and that kind of stuff. The best thing I got out of it were my friends like Emma and Kevin.
yep.
That was the win. I mean,
Mhm.
of course, I had great master classes and everything, but these are people. If I stopped doing guitar today, that we would still be friends.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So we really wanted to help build that kind of experience that was really just purely that on some.
Yeah, I feel very
Okay.
strongly that the best part of festivals is what you get out of it in terms of relationships,
Yeah,
both professionally and personally. Um,
absolutely. That's how I met you.
yeah, exactly. And so and of course, I mean, the few prizes I've won were fun to win and stuff. But honestly, like the ones where I won a prize and I had a good time with people, Like there was one where me and a very good friend of mine both got first and second in Northwest, and we
Nice.
spent every night hanging out together and hanging out with other people and doing fun stuff and walking around town. And it was, and like those memories are way more important to me than like that. Well, I mean, but what I'm saying is that the times when I won other prizes but didn't have that experience, the social experience, I kind of forgot them. Like
Yeah.
it's sort of for me, I feel like even if
Yeah.
you do well in an event or something, it's like the experiences of connection with people is more powerful anyways in the long run.
Absolutely. I mean, the Acadia Festival that's no longer around. I think last year, it was in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I met both Kevin and Emma at that festival, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, Emma and I both went on later to do our own festivals and all that. Even though that festival went away after 3 years,
Right. Yeah.
so there's a sort of a legacy, that was founded on the friendships at the festival, really
Mm-hmm.
more than like business network, like going to a corporate event,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really more about that sort of shared
Well, and doing things like
passion for the guitar, and also for telling a few jokes.
and doing things with in the guitar world. I mean, it's hard. Like you just said, it's really hard to run those kind of events. It's challenging. It's hard to balance the books. Hard to find all the ways to make things happen. And so what I mean is, you're not going to do that with people who you don't sort of gel with and want to help one another, and sort of like you're there, you got each other's backs, like my project with Nathan, the tour we did, and his sonata that he wrote for me, and our duo and stuff. Like we never lived in the same city, but we met at Montreal Festival, and then we met at Hamilton a bunch of times.
Yeah,
And our collaboration, I mean, the amount of work we put into planning that tour and making it happen, and the piece that he wrote for me, and all the stuff we've done together since, and still
he's a
planning,
talented guy.
still planning to do. Yeah, super talented guy. But my point is like that would not have been possible for us to put in that amount of work for one another if we didn't also like really hit it off as friends and sort of connect that way. So
Absolutely.
so
Very cool.
that's that for me is the benefit of going to these kind of events, right? Is having
Yeah.
that experience with people and forging those friendships.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, is there anything else you want to mention, Will?
No, if people are inclined, they can check out the Human Trials podcast. Also,
Yes.
that's we're gonna try to do it. We haven't done one in a while because we've been busy, but you can check that out.
Yes.
Also, I'm the managing director of Allegro Guitar, which is Fort Worth Classical Guitar Society, and the Allegro Guitar Society of Dallas. Things are pretty quiet right now, but check out guitarsociety.org and kind of put us on your radar. If you're in the area, or that sort of have been the larger kind of guitar organization for a long time, and so big acts like David Russell and
Mm-hmm.
that in that sort of, I guess, international concert kind of scene, but also doing school visits and that kind of thing as well, and small art gallery concerts and all that. So there's we're ready to rock and roll as soon as it's safe again.
Mm-hmm. Keep your eyes
to
peeled.
do that. So you can find them on Facebook,
Yeah.
and all that. So
Yeah. Links in the
that's it.
description as always.
Yes.
There.
Yeah. So are you going to play the guitar and oboe piece? Is that going to play us out?
Yeah, I think we'll do that rather than Vice to finish off. Hey.
Yeah. This is a really cool piece. I was lucky to perform this. This was written for the oboist Jonathan Thompson, a Mexican American oboist, a Mexican American composer, Andrew Rodriguez, who's actually, I believe, he was born in Lubbock, Texas, which is out west, way out west. But it's a really interesting piece. It's a super, super interesting piece.
Awesome.
Lots of odd times and things, and very, very cool, very
Cool.
mysterious. So
Nathan and I have a piece in the works by a Canadian Mexican composer, so this is
very cool.
yeah, we can have a little
Very cool.
little set.
Awesome.
Is it multi-movement, this piece?
It's just one. It's one movement. It's in sections. You sort of have very obvious sectioned piece. So you have sort of it's not variations, because there's not really a
Mhm.
carried through theme, but
Yeah.
you have sort of arpeggio sections and these sort of big open chords in one section,
Mhm.
and then one section there's this, you'll hear it, where the guitar and the oboe are never playing the same division of the beat or the same pitch at the same time. It was
Oh, man.
incredibly difficult to count.
Yeah.
I mean, we rehearsed that spot. It was just like was the actual physical execution is not difficult,
Yeah.
but the time, is just, you're just constantly
I had this
crossing in and out of one another.
I had this experience playing Nagoya Guitars, the Steve Reich arrangement by David Tannenbaum. Just like, also you're like phasing in and out from one another and not playing the same rhythms at the same time, but
Yeah,
it's very confusing.
Yeah, when Jonathan is now on the faculty actually at UNT. He's an adjunct there, and when you have somebody at that level, they're still kind of nod a little bit to make sure they're in the right spot.
Yeah,
it's a symphonic
tricky.
player that's having to do a little bit of nodding. You're like, okay, I need to pay attention.
Serious, yeah. Julian Bertino says, I'm still looking forward to Baroque BQ Fest 2021.
I'm gonna have to open up this restaurant now.
Yeah. I'll come all the way there for Baroque BQ Fest, I promised.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so we're gonna listen to Elegia Interrumpida. Is that the title?
Elegia Interrumpida.
By, what's the name of the composer one more time?
Andrew Rodriguez.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Will. It's been a real joy.
Thank you.
Having you on.
Thank you so much. It's really great to talk to you again. This has been a real pleasure. A lot of fun.
I really value your insights and your experience, and it's just a joy to have you here.
No, thanks, man. Same to you. Absolutely.
This is the one
great program.
Oh, thank you. This is the one reason I still like going on social media now, is because I can sort of talk with many of my guitar friends in this format, and also interact with the audience, which honestly in this pandemic is making me feel less crazy and isolated, which
good, man. We got to do whatever we can.
Yeah, I'm in a bit of a weird position because I finished school, but I'm living in a different city than I studied in. So I realized as the pandemic was getting into full swing that like most of my friends live either in other cities in the Netherlands or other countries around the world. So I'm like, most of my friends aren't in the same city as me. So I'm like, this is
it's tough.
Yeah. So this show has helped me, and so it's very nice to sort of have an excuse to drag people like you on and chat for 2 hours. So
yeah, well, I really appreciate it, man. It's helping me stay sane as well.
Good.
So help me feel connected to my guitar family.
Well, we're all here, and thank you to everyone for watching. Unfortunately, I don't have the list of upcoming guests in November, but I do know we're starting. I don't have a date yet for it, but I do know the first show in November will be Joseph Ehrenpriest, who's releasing a new CD of Brahms guitar music, including music by Amy Brandon and some other, I think it's mostly all new pieces that were written for Joseph. So the Brahms guitar is the one with that big stick going into those sound box, like the one, what's his name played? Paul Odette?
Not Paul Odette. He's the lute player.
Sorry, not Paul Odette. Oh God.
Every plucked
Paul Galbraith.
early music instrument.
Paul Galbraith. That's the one. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's Paul's.
Yeah, too many Pauls.
Yeah. So everyone watch out for Joseph's episode, and then I will also release the November roster sometime in the next couple weeks before November. But thank you for tuning in. Check out all of Will's links in the description, and also check out Julian says Paul Galbraith, correct. Also check out the Patreon and PayPal links, etc. And we'll see all you next time. Let's listen to this Rodriguez piece. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, thank you.